All aboard the toxic gossip train, you're chugging down the tracks of misinformation. Hey guys, it's me, Miranda. Just really excited because I'm about to show you something I've been working on for a really long time. Just do it! Many years ago, I used to message my fans, but not in a creepy way like a lot of you are trying to suggest.
She's talking to a 14-year-old child about sex.
People will say that, what you're doing is wrong. I'm not a predator, even though a lot of you think so, because 5 years ago, I made a fart joke. I hope all of this backlash is just an ounce of the pain that I felt. I'm such a huge advocate for women and women's bodies and loving every shape and every size.
I was already struggling with my weight and, my body image. In that moment, I looked over to Colleen hoping that, she would say something to Corey about this, but she didn't.
I genuinely believe this all boils down to her being an incredibly narcissistic person.
I wanted to finally let you all know what happened, and the truth is that there's no drama, and you guys are all making drama out of absolutely nothing, and you need to calm down.
I want you to take a moment and picture this. The year is 2023. You're 16 years old. You're standing in line outside a majestic theater in a big city you travel 10 hours to get to, and you're waiting to go in and see your favorite YouTuber perform who is your idol. You've been waiting for this moment for months, and you can barely contain your excitement. Earlier, you connected with a few other fans and got added to a special group chat where you're speaking not only with the fans, but also with your idol, who personally lets you know that this group is special to her. Not everybody gets to be a part of this group, but you do, and you feel like you've become friends. At one point, your idol, the one you admire the most, tells you and the other fans that there's going to be a special audience participation sketch that will happen in the show, and if you dress in a skimpy outfit, you may just be lucky enough for your idol to pull you on stage to stand right next to her and share the spotlight and get tons of extra photos, which would be the coolest thing ever. So you agree. You dress the part and put on a short, flowy romper. You're uncomfortable, but she tells you, don't worry, she's done this 1,000 times before, it'll be funny. Except that's not what happened. Instead, your favorite creator pulls you on stage for what she calls the yoga challenge, where she lays you on the floor on your back in front of thousands of strangers, and as your romper falls down around your waist, she makes you spread your legs right in front of her face as she unexpectedly laughs and mocks your body. Again, you're 16. You're petrified at this point, and you're so exposed. Your favorite creator just humiliated you in front of thousands of people, leaving you forced to laugh it off as you fix your clothes to cover yourself and are escorted off the stage. And it's all caught on camera. And as you make your way to the parking lot after the show, shaking, confused, and violated, you're greeted with grown men who catcall you, objectify you, and shout about how hot you are at 16. And then it hits you. Your favorite creator, Miranda Sings, just objectified you in front of the entire world, and she didn't care because to her, it was just a joke, and you were the punchline. And this is what we know. Miranda Sings, a character played by creator Colleen Ballinger, was at one point practically synonymous with the YouTube platform, building a career that began in 2008 and took her to screens and stages across the entire planet while making her way to Broadway, Netflix, talk shows, and bestseller lists in the process. Despite the fact that most of her content is geared towards kids, her sense of humor might be considered crass to some, to put it generously. Yet still, Colleen Ballinger has had a reputation for being a kind, compassionate, and accepting creator with a massive fan base who are endeared to her because of the community she fostered. In recent weeks, though, as many of you probably know, the entire carefully curated house of cards she built for herself has begun crumbling under the weight of countless allegations of distributing pornography to minors, inappropriate and private conversations with minors without their parents' knowledge, the exploitation of free labor from her fans, the glorification of underage bodies, and finally, grooming. But that description doesn't even begin to scratch the surface of what is slowly becoming apparent to everybody paying attention. Colleen Ballinger isn't the only problem here. Now, I and my team have dug into so much alarming trash in this story. Bitch, it is way too much for me to put all in one doc. So this will be a two-part documentary series. So today for part one, we're gonna dig into a comprehensive telling of the events featuring countless interviews that I personally conducted with the alleged victims of Colleen Ballinger. So you'll hear directly from them as I lay out the sequence of events that has led Colleen from being one of the most beloved creators on this platform ever to potentially one of the most insidious and rotten. Hi, future Swoop here, interrupting really quick. In the final hours of me editing this documentary, Colleen Ballinger finally uploaded a response video in the form of a song with a ukulele.
I've been wanting to come online and talk to you about a few things. Even though my team has strongly advised me to not say what I want to say, I recently realized that they never said that I couldn't sing what I want to say. All aboard the toxic gossip train, chugging down the tracks of misinformation.
Now, I will be discussing this later on in this doc, but I do want to say that she addresses absolutely nothing. It is one of the most dismissive, invalidating pieces of garbage that I have seen in regards to speaking to victims' experiences, which is why it is so important, I believe, that we have full context of as much information as possible, which is what I have set out to try to do in this documentary, to give you complete context of all of the accusations from the victims straight from their mouths, because I do not support the idea of these victims being invalidated and their voices being silenced in any way, shape, or form. So we'll get to that a little later. So buckle up, friends. It's going to be wild. But first, oh, hi there. Hello, hello, hi. It's my face again. Swoop! If you're seeing me for the first time, welcome. I make documentaries and short films on unsolved cases, true crime, and social media influencers who abuse their power and manipulate audiences because, as I always say, it's not drama, it's dangerous. We also dig deeper into the root psychology, and sometimes we take it to Petty University, okay? We've got the uniform is on, and I was so close to my microphone. Because y'all know Petty is my coping mechanism for the asshat. So if you want to join the Petty University community, all are welcome, and you can grab your exclusive Petty University apparel. The shop is linked below as always. And also, special little announcement, there will be a very special limited edition new Petty University apparel collection coming very, very soon. It might be my absolute favorite stuff that we've designed. I cannot wait for you to get your hands on it. Also, are you following me on Instagram? Join me, please, on my quest. I'm trying to finally make it to 100,000 followers so that I could be a real influencer in these streets, okay? It's tough out here. So real quick, I want to give a huge thank you to today's sponsor and to all of you for being here, and then we'll dive right in. Okay, we're gonna dive in, but real quick, a huge thank you to SeatGeek for sponsoring this doc. So I am beyond excited that I am finally going to see the band Nothing But Thieves perform live. Y'all know I am a musician and love going to live shows. So when I found out that they'll be performing near me, I freaked out. And the first and only place I went to grab tickets is SeatGeek. With over 28 million downloads, SeatGeek is the #1 rated ticketing app, and they make getting the perfect seats so incredibly easy. There are more than 70,000 events every single day on SeatGeek, including concerts, sports, festivals, and so much more. And I use them every time to grab amazing tickets. With artists like Taylor Swift, Post Malone, the Jonas Brothers, Jake, and Beyonce on tour. Yes, the legend Beyonce, she is blessing us with a tour. SeatGeek has you covered. They put all of the tickets across the web in one place to make sure you are getting a great deal. Each ticket is rated on a scale of 1 to 10, so look for the green dots on the map. Green means good, red means bad, very bad. And every ticket is backed by their buyer guarantee, and SeatGeek is the only site that lets you return your tickets ahead of the event with swaps, which is absolutely incredible. Seriously, if you're not using SeatGeek for all your ticket finds, you are missing out. And you know Auntie Swoop came through for you, okay? You can use my code SWOOP to get $20 off any tickets at SeatGeek. SeatGeek. That's literally $20 off your first purchase of any tickets. All you gotta do is click the link in the description to download the app and save that money and get the best seats ever and $20 off. Enjoy yourself, honey. You deserve it. Okay, back to the doc. Okay, we are ready to dive into this. Now, first off, a content heads up. We will be discussing themes of grooming, abuse, gaslighting, chronic illness, and manipulation of minors. Now, sensitive words and images will be censored per usual, but I just want you to have a heads up. And as always, all of these statements are alleged. I will be sharing others and my opinion based on the available information and research. Please do form your own opinion. Do not spread any hate. And let me know your thoughts on this in the comments. I am so curious to know. All right, class in session.
So my advice, if you want bigger lips, just take lipstick and accentuate your lips like this. See?
Meet Colleen May Ballinger, born November 21st, 1986. Now, it's important to note that now because that means by the time Miranda Sings entered the YouTube scene on January 30th, 2008, Colleen was already 21 years old and in her mid-20s by the time she became a superstar, meaning the entire time that Colleen Ballinger had been famous, she has very much been an adult, and you'll see why I want you to remember that a little bit later, okay? So just lock that in the brain. Now, Colleen was born in Santa Barbara, California, the third of 4 kids with her older brothers Chris and Trent and her younger sister Rachel. Colleen has talked a lot over the years about how she grew up in a religious and sheltered upbringing, mentioning that she was homeschooled for most of her childhood, even though the records show she was actually only homeschooled for about 3 years before high school. Now, as the story goes, Colleen begged her mom to attend a public high school due to her love of all things entertainment, but especially theater. Now, because of her love for theater, when Colleen was 17, she went to a religious college called Azusa Pacific University to major in vocal performance, which is where she met a man named Corey DeSoto. Almost immediately, the two became thick as thieves, the besties, the BFFs, all of that shit.
Hi, Corey, I love you, so I wrote you a song.
The two of them were so close that Colleen was actually one of the first people Corey came out to. They even made a video about his coming out story that today sits at over 6 million views.
I remember you were crying and you said, "You're gonna hate me." And I said, "I will never hate you, no matter what, I'll never hate you."
This was also partially how she was able to maintain a loyal friendship with Corey, who is so close to Colleen that he apparently still lives with her and works as her assistant even to this day. Well, I guess time will tell after all of this.
And you said that you were like, you felt like you were going to hell and that I would hate you and everyone would hate you.
Eventually, in 2008, Colleen started messing around YouTube, where she would eventually do comedy videos, lifestyle videos, vlogs, and it was through YouTube that she was able to move on to the following accomplishments: a Teen Choice Awards, a Streamy, many roles in movies and TV shows, Broadway shows, Netflix shows, 2 best-selling books, an episode on Jerry Seinfeld's show, an episode of MTV True Life that focused on her relationship with then boyfriend Joshua Evans. She even co-hosted The View back in 2015 for knows why. And if you're new to the Colleen Ballinger story, you might be asking, what is it that she did on YouTube that led to so many opportunities? When I first heard the name Colleen Ballinger years back, it sounded like it was gonna be like some hoity-toity self-help author who put out a book titled some like Live, Laugh, Legendary, My Radical Awakening as a Prodigal Guru. Trademark. Sadly, no. That's not what Colleen Ballinger is famous for. This is...
Hey guys, it's me, Miranda. Today I'm so excited for my video because I'm reacting to TikToks. Easy, easy, easy. Like sauce panties.
Miranda Sings, a character Colleen workshopped in a one-woman comedy show during college that was practically synonymous with YouTube at a certain point in its history.
There's a demon!
Like literally everywhere I turned, there was Miranda Sings' face in my face. Please make it stop.
No, God!
Yeah, it was a lot.
No, God, please, no! No!
Just do it!
No!
Now, Miranda, the character by design, is a performer who was very, very bad at performing and thinks she's gonna be as famous as Beyonce.
Hey, where my bays at? Where my bays at?
Now, the character Miranda is a self-described parody of someone whose talent is nowhere near as big as her ego, with the iconic imagery of smeared red lipstick.
Just take lipstick and accentuate your lips like this.
According to Colleen herself, the Miranda Sings character was inspired by her classmates at Azusa Pacific University, who she claimed were like rude, entitled, and believed strongly in themselves without having the talent or skill to back it up. She claims that some of her classmates who apparently couldn't sing would upload videos of themselves singing to YouTube anyways. So like basically when you think about it, Colleen made up a character so that she could endlessly mock her classmates who were eagerly pursuing their own dreams but apparently didn't measure up to Colleen's judgmental standard of what makes a worthy entertainer, as if she's Harry Styles, master of the musical universe. You know, humility!
There was a lot of people in my program who were just had the characteristics of Miranda, the character that I do.
Which are what? It's cocky?
Cocky, and just, they talk like this. And just like, they just thought they were so good, and they would record themselves singing songs and post it online for everyone to see, and no bad comments, they only wanted good feedback.
It's also important to note that Miranda Sings for a very long time has been a character that's marketed towards children, but contrary to popular belief, it wasn't always intended to be a character that appealed to kids. Now, you could see in some of Colleen's earliest content that the character had more of a, let's say, niche appeal for Broadway fans, or even just casual, more adult musical fans. But along the way, with the rise of YouTube monetization and YouTube trends and the whole hack the algorithm thing, things changed. Colleen's audience got younger and younger, and her material adjusted to fit the demand. Well, kinda. Yeah, no, not really.
And I love putting in some tuna. Everybody likes a fishy haul. Should I leave the juice? Or should it just be the meat in the hole? Maybe something creamy in your hole.
And contrary to those who think it wasn't a calculated move and it's all innocent, allow me to present Exhibit A.
I'm not too old to go to my show. One thing I take a lot of pride in with my live shows is that it is for all ages. Like, there are jokes that kids will laugh at, and there are jokes that will go over the kids' heads and are inappropriate, like sexual innuendos.
That's Colleen saying her content is for all ages, including children, while saying in the same breath her content is filled with sexual innuendos for children to see. Yeah, I'll get to that a little bit later. Now, over time, the character's traits became even more exaggerated and boisterous, and according to Colleen, that too was by design, telling the website Elle back in 2016, quote, "I thought it was fascinating that someone who didn't know me would take the time to say hateful things about me. Whatever haters didn't like, I would do more of in the next video." So she goes from essentially trolling her classmates to trolling her criticizers. Thus, the Miranda Sings catchphrase, which the character used anytime somebody left a negative comment on YouTube. In 2011, on the eve of her first Canadian tour, she told Alberta News there was one teenager in particular she was impersonating, saying, and I quote, "She was 16 and loved singing every day. She wasn't any good, bless her, but she gave voice lessons to anyone who watched her. I just love her. Oh, splendid, another trolling. Fiddly-dee." So listen, as a bit of foreshadowing, if you will, that story that Colleen told about the origins of Miranda Sings isn't the full truth. But in the interest of fairness, that's the story she came up with, and in my reserved opinion, because I know I will be going off about that later, even the way Colleen herself has painted the creation of Miranda Sings is based in some weird cruelty, especially by crediting the weirdness of the character to a 16-year-old girl at a time when Colleen herself was 24, almost 25. Now, Colleen Ballinger's personal account has 8.5 million subscribers and nearly 2 billion views. Holy shite balls, okay. And as of today, Miranda Sings has more than 10 million subscribers and nearly 2.5 billion views. Miranda's TikTok account has 13 million plus followers. When did that happen? And almost 7 million followers on Instagram. Now, the success of the Miranda Sings character led to one of those TV shows Colleen did, which was in fact a Miranda Sings show for Netflix called Haters Back Off. Haters Back Off was released across 2 seasons on Netflix back in 2016 and 2017 before it was canceled. Yes, Daddy Netflix already canceled her once. And it focuses on the day-to-day life of Miranda and her family, as well as her quest to become famous however she can, no matter who she has to hurt to get there. Now, the show was created by Colleen and her brother Chris, and for better or worse, it's always going to be a huge part of the history of YouTube because it was one of the first scripted TV shows created by a YouTuber, if not like the first one.
They've given me literal poison for a snack. I said I wanted something to eat and they gave me this trash. Literal trees? Do I look like a rabbit?
Now, Miranda Sings is proof that what could start right here could take you all the way to here. Oh dear, sorry. How did that get there? I've gotten ahead of myself. I'm sorry. I meant to say that it took her from here to here. And also, fun fact, to here. Because Colleen met her second husband, Eric Stocklin, while working on the show. Now, if you couldn't tell, the Miranda Sings character's success was massive, and it even led to Colleen getting to tour the world as Miranda, which only did even more to increase her fame. So how famous was she? In 2015, Glamour magazine released a list of the top 10 most asked fashion questions they were asked that year. At number 9, how to dress up like Miranda Sings. Can you imagine asking Glamour magazine how to dress like this? Okay, sorry, no. A lot of websites talking about Colleen and even a few biographies about Colleen will say that her career really took off in 2013, and that's true. But that really understates what a big deal Miranda Sings always has been. Even as far back as 2010, articles and news stories referring to fans traveling from across the country just to see Colleen perform as Miranda, a fan base also known as the Mirfandas. Now, the strength and passion of the Mirfandas, without a doubt, were what made Miranda Sings and by extension Colleen Ballinger so iconic. The fans lifted up not only Colleen, but her entire family, who capitalized on the success by starting their own YouTube careers themselves. I mean, her sister Rachel is a YouTuber with nearly 3 million subscribers. Her brother Chris writes a lot of the Miranda Sings material and even co-runs the Ballinger Family, a family YouTube channel with over 2 million subscribers. And even Colleen's best friend and assistant, Corey DeSoto, has benefited big time from the Colleen Ballinger empire, becoming a fixture in her content both on and offline.
I wanted to finally let you all know what happened, and the truth is that there's no drama, and you guys are all making drama out of absolutely nothing, and you need to calm down.
And to be completely clear, a lot of the Mirfandas are and were grown adults who appreciated what they saw as a lighthearted parody of, like a certain type of overzealous musical theater kid. But as Colleen's ex, Joss Evans, put it to Good Morning America back in 2015.
So you keep saying kids. Who are these kids?
The mass majority of our audience is 13 to 21.
Children! Now, it's probably worth mentioning that the intention of whether the Miranda Sings character is meant for children doesn't matter, since 1, the crowd is made up almost exclusively of them. Number 2, Colleen is well aware that most of her audience are minors. And number 3, Miranda Sings is so synonymous with content made for kids that even as recently as 2019, the website moms.com, literally moms.com, released a list of 10 YouTubers that are good influences on kids, and Colleen Ballinger was on there at number 5. What the are you doing, moms.com?
To hide our snack from the bears, we have to hide it in our clothes. So for example, there we go. Do you want a cheese ball?
I'd love one. I can't believe I'm reaching in there right now.
Whatever, man. Okay, so let me recap. For over a decade, Colleen Ballinger has built her career off of providing a safe space for fans of all ages, genders, creeds, ethnicities, and walks of life. In the process, she's become one of the biggest success stories on YouTube, off YouTube and for a long time was relatively controversy-free, but that all changed because of the words of a young man by the name of Adam McIntyre.
All by myself, and I live alone, and I have my 2 cats and my 2 dogs, and I'm very dependent on them, and they're very dependent on me.
Who is Adam McIntyre? I wanted to know more about him, so I reached out to him for an interview, which I will be cutting in throughout this documentary. You'll see when I'm wearing the pink, that's part of the interview, and this is me now. You get it. It's great to meet you, and I just really want to give you a huge thank you for taking the time to sit down and talk with me. I really want to underscore how important I think you sharing your story has been.
No, I mean it. You have been so supportive behind the scenes and publicly as well, and I just really appreciate that. And whenever your name started getting brought up to do with all of this, people were immediately like flooding my messages and flooding my DMs and flooding my comments with like, Swoop is the perfect person to speak to when it comes to this. You have been a full example of that, even just privately, so I really appreciate that, and I appreciate you wanting to touch this topic, but I also appreciate you just like caring behind the scenes, so I want to extend a thank you for that.
So this is Adam McIntyre, a 20-year-old Irish content creator on YouTube who posts daily vlogs, drama videos, live streams, and other content to his Twitch and YouTube channels.
So my name's Adam McIntyre, and I'm 20, and I'm from Ireland. I'm from Derry. It's like a really small city. I live now in Brighton. I moved here whenever I was 18. So all by myself, and I live alone, and I have my 2 cats and my 2 dogs, and I'm very dependent on them, and they're very dependent on me.
Now, Adam has been interested in art and fandom from an early age, but one of the things I was surprised to learn is that Adam has always wanted to be a documentary filmmaker. But you mentioned having a journalism degree. Just tell me a little bit about your interest and why you pursued that.
I have been like uploading on YouTube since like 2010, but I always did have a passion for filming and creating documentaries and stuff. So I actually got a graduation from the BFI London, and then I also got my qualification in my college in Derry. But yeah, it's something that I'm really proud of because I was not good at education. I didn't really care about school, and it was something that I kind of find that like made me interested in school. So it's definitely something that is like one of my more proud achievements.
Love that. Now, throughout the course of our interview, Adam was very friendly, very transparent, and direct about exactly who he is, including his desires to come to America to be a camp counselor.
A big chunk of my childhood was dedicated to my dream job, and it still is my dream job. Like, if everything was to go wrong tomorrow, my dream job would be a summer camp counselor. It's called Camp America, and it's like my dream job. So if everything goes wrong tomorrow, that's where I'm going to be going.
Quick sidebar, okay, but that is like legitimately one of the most incredibly endearing things anybody has ever shared with me in an interview. Like, genuinely, Adam, I think that's a really moving dream, and I am hoping that you get to live that one day soon. Okay, I just had to say that.
I just have always been someone who has enjoyed the internet, and I mean, my entire childhood kind of revolved around, you know, internet culture and pop culture. And like, whenever my friends were loving like mainstream celebrities, I was always, you know, the weird one who was watching like Colleen Ballinger and Jenna Marbles, you know what I mean? Like, they were my go-tos. I've just kind of always loved that. I've always loved feeling like a part of a community, which is why I've always loved like fandom culture, and I've been, you know, in fandom culture with like different people.
Now I would like to shift into everything, the Colleen situation, everything. If there are any questions that get too triggering or anything becomes too, I just don't want you to feel overwhelmed if things become too sensitive, if you need to skip a question.
At the same stage, anything you want. I'm an open book with this.
Okay, I appreciate that. Now, during our interview, Adam told me he'd been a fan of Miranda Sings and Colleen Ballinger by extension since around 2011 when he was about 9. What was it that drew you to Miranda?
The thing that drew me to Miranda was just, number one, no one in my real life knew who she was. It kind of made enjoying a YouTuber in any capacity a lot more exciting, especially back then, because it was kind of like a less common thing. The humor just appealed to me. It was what I find funny back then. Again, I cannot stress enough like how much it's catered towards kids, so clearly many people thought it was real. And then whenever I discovered the Colleen side of things, it kind of just added this whole new layer of like, this is so cool. Like, oh my God, no one knows this is like not a real character.
How did your relationship, how did it escalate into becoming that real friendship? I use friendship in quotes because again, this is a grown woman. How did it escalate to that? What was that kind of trajectory there?
So I joined the Twitter fandom in 2013. And I was really a part of the community from 2013 on. And I would get, her family used to address me as Cookie Ballinger. And like, even whenever I would meet her, she would make jokes about like calling me Cookie Ballinger because that was my username. So I would get called out on live streams. I would get called out on like Twitter. I would, basically the more you engage, the more you were praised. The pivotal moment I specifically remember from whenever it turned from fan to a little bit more than that was the divorce in 2016. She announced her divorce with Josh September 30th, 2016. I remember it was my 14th birthday. It's like the most dramatic birthday of my entire life. My 14th birthday, all I remember from it was having to talk to this woman on Twitter about the divorce and the backlash. And she ended up sending me a message being like, I'm so sorry I ruined your birthday. And Goober, I love you so much. And just this, in August of 2016 was whenever the lingerie live stream happened.
Hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. The lingerie? Yeah, let me back up to the real start of the Adam McIntyre story. Let's take it back to 2020.
Okay, maybe he'll want the panties. Although then his parents will be like, you're not allowed to watch who is sending you panties. He'd be like, Mom, don't worry. I watched a boy wear them online first.
Hi everyone, before this video begins, I just want to tell you that I've been making daily videos recently, but I just want to tell you that I am going to stop for a while. And I am taking a break from just my social medias because there's been a lot of shit going on. I've just had enough, honestly.
What you just saw was the start of then 17-year-old Adam's 25-minute video he released back on April 28th, 2020, titled Colleen Ballinger Stop Lying. The description of the video read, quote, "This is a video I never ever thought I would have to make and my heart breaks making it. My intentions are to tell my side of the story and dissociate myself as all I am seeing online is theories about what is happening and what I have or have not done." In the video, Adam makes a number of quite damning allegations against Colleen Ballinger. So nearly 10 years into his Miranda fandom, Adam has managed to graduate, if you will, from Colleen fan to Colleen friend to Colleen collaborator. And in this video, he alleges that Colleen Ballinger did not pay him for work he did for the Miranda Sings character, exploited her power as a creator, and even alleges that Colleen was very inappropriate, to say the least, with Adam throughout most of his childhood for a number of reasons. It's heavy shit.
As you all know, I was a good friend of Colleen and Corey, and I discovered Miranda Sings in 2012. I ran a fan page on Instagram that I created in 2014 and a fan page on Twitter that I created in 2013, which I dedicated all of my time to. It was just me supporting the Ballinger family. It was simple. After 2016, during a live stream that I'll discuss later, me and Colleen started talking on a more personal level, and by 2017 we were good friends. Very quickly we started talking a lot. This slowly turned into me getting private details about her divorce.
Now, Adam's telling a story about when Colleen was in her early 30s and Adam was only 13 back in 2016. Now, Colleen and Corey were doing a live stream where they talked to commenting fans, and during the stream, Colleen opened a box of clothes from Forever 21, picking and choosing the items that she wanted and giving away the ones that she didn't. Partway through, Corey put on a matching bra and underwear set that belonged to Colleen over his clothing. At this point, Adam tweeted at Colleen what she describes as sassy and rude comments about how ugly the clothing was in general.
He's so rude. What made you order these ugly clothes? Oh my God, he's so sassy.
That's when the adults, came up with the idea of sending the lingerie set to Adam. Remember how old I said he was at this time? Yeah.
Oh my God, that makes me laugh. I want to send him something. Do you want the bra, Adam?
Do you want the brown panties. Tweet right now.
This is weird. This is a grown-ass woman and one who's been on YouTube for almost a decade at this point, talking about sending undergarments to a 13-year-old fan. I mean, even Colleen and Corey seem to know it's inappropriate, wondering out loud how his parents would react to the gift.
Okay, maybe he'll want the panties, although then his parents will be like, you're not allowed to watch who is sending you panties. He'd be like, Mom, don't worry, I watched a boy wear them online first.
Note to self, Colleen, if you have to ask how the parents are going to react, it's probably not a good idea. I'm just saying, I don't know. Now, because of the context of who Colleen is as a public figure and the type of humor she's famous for, maybe you just assume that this was some kind of bit for the stream and that she wouldn't really send undergarments to someone that age, right? Right?
So I did get sent the lingerie, and immediately whenever it arrived, my parents were furious. They were so angry and they took it away, and I didn't know if they still had it, and I asked my mom, did she have it, because she knew I was making this video. My mom kept it. I didn't even see these because my mom had just taken them away because she was so shocked. This was what I was sent. I was genuinely still surprised that my mom had these. So that was a big warning sign, but because I was so young, I didn't take it. Naive.
Okay, Adam, let me very kindly just stop you right there for a second. And this is for anyone else who is young and in similar situations. I hope not, but just in case. You were not naive, you were a child, period. And this was not your fault. The fault lies solely on the adults. And if anyone is saying otherwise, you could go ahead and send them my way, okay? Auntie Swoop got some words for them, okay? Miss Petty LaBelle might come out of her shell and sit some people down, asses in seats, okay? I don't know what that accent was, but this is what it's conjuring for me right now. Now, remember the whole thing where he talked about that divorce ruining his 14th birthday? Josh had moved up the ranks from being Colleen's boyfriend to her husband to her ex-husband. And according to Adam, Colleen was comfortable enough to share very private details about her divorce from Josh with Adam. Let me rephrase that. Colleen, a 30-year-old woman, was sharing intimate details about her relationship and divorce with a boy who was 14 that she met on the internet. What makes this even worse is that Adam alleges that she would have him go so far as to prowl gossip websites and social media to find as much dirt as he could on Josh.
Our relationship slowly turned into me always being asked to go find drama for her, whether it was about Josh, ex-friends, or fans. At the time, I saw this as harmless, and I was just really excited that my favorite person in the entire world wanted to talk to me. Now looking back though, I can see that it was just a way of baiting me to constantly get me to get her the information. And in 2016 to 2018, I was always asked to follow along gossip sites and then feed back that information and what they were talking about. Now me doing this, it led to my name getting thrown into the mix in these gossip sites. So then I was getting targeted on these gossip sites, and I was getting called a pick-me, manipulative, and other words I won't say just because my extended family are watching this video.
There's so much that is wrong on so many levels with this situation, and I want to be clear. The problem isn't that she has those fans. I mean, a person can have fans of that age. The problem, and specifically in this case, is that she crossed multiple boundaries with young fans she definitely should not have crossed. And you want to know something even weirder? Adam told me about a conversation he had with a friend of his, and, well,
I remember coming to her because I didn't want to tell my parents about it, because Colleen would tell me that she's confiding in me with information and don't tell anybody, because then, you know, she's trusting me with this. And if I tell people, she will not be able to trust me. And so I'm like, shit, like I don't want to, you know, ruin this. I remember telling my friend that I felt like I was going through a divorce that was so like affecting my own life. I was directly having to make decisions on how Colleen handled her divorce. But I also remember feeling guilty for feeling that way. And I remember saying to my friend in the moment, basically along the lines of, yeah, but like, you know, she's my friend. And like, whenever your friend's in a rough spot, you've really got to help them out with it. You know, she's trusting me. And like, if your friend's in need, your friend's in need, which is just, looking back on it, is so weird.
I'm sorry, y'all, but my blood is boiling and I am about to lose my shit. You know, I can't. Petty University, it's time. Roll the intro. What in the whole grain, carb-free, sugar-free mashed potatoes with a side of Pete Davidson on a bran muffin is this bull It cannot be stressed enough that Adam was a child, not an adult, a child. And importantly, he was also a fan. We've talked a lot about parasocial relationships before on this channel, and the idea that it's quite common for people to feel like they know their favorite creators simply by absorbing their content. That's a common thing. But this wasn't just a parasocial relationship, and I think people get that part wrong often when talking about this. This went from a parasocial relationship that crossed the line to a real life relationship that's just squatted down and shatted all over that line. And I'm just like, what kind of weird ass, backward ass, OG ass YouTuber is sitting there talking about divorce papers with a boy who's only been on this planet for 14 damn years? Bitch, I am fuming! Sorry, I had to take it up those octaves because I don't know what else to do. Now, no shade to the Murfandas and former Murfandas watching. You did nothing wrong. What the is a 14-year-old Murfanda gonna know about divorce papers, bitch. Anyways, class dismissed. Now, to jump back to my interview with Adam, he has an interesting take on parasocial relationships that, if I'm being honest, kind of took the words right out of my mouth and made me erase a similar take that I had in my notes.
I think that I have a parasocial relationship with my audience. I also think you have a parasocial relationship with your audience. I think we all do. It is not something as creators you can really control. However, there's a difference between having a parasocial relationship and using and abusing your parasocial relationships. There's a difference in actively acknowledging you have one, and there's a difference in your audience acknowledging you have one, and there's a difference in trying to make that muffled so that you can abuse that. And that was what happened here for many years.
Adam didn't need to project anything onto Colleen. He had a direct line to her, a direct line that Colleen exploited when, around 2017, the two of them began talking about the fading relevance of the Miranda Sings character.
So in December of 2017, I proper started giving tweets for the Miranda account. This included tweets on iCarly, Brazil, and a number of other things. And whenever we talked about how Miranda wasn't really doing well anymore, she messaged me and then said, well, help me. So on the 25th of March of this year, I started giving more ideas again because Colleen was aware that the Miranda character was becoming very stale and inactive on social media. So on the 25th and 26th, I presented her with about 15 different tweet ideas.
In screenshots Adam shares throughout the video, he shows Colleen asking him to help make Miranda Sings' social media presence begin to take off again. So he sent her a ton of ideas for tweets the character could make to boost her presence. Around 2017 through 2020, Adam alleges that he straight up ghost wrote virtually every tweet on the Miranda Sings account. It's also important to note that here and in future videos I'll cover from Adam that he provides evidence that Colleen approved every single tweet he suggested, and he also ran every single tweet by her. As the video goes on, Adam makes the revelation that Colleen Ballinger in March 2020 gave Adam the password to her Miranda Sings Twitter, saying that she wanted him to be her social media intern and that if things went well, she would hire him as a part-time hourly employee.
At 12 minutes past 10 p.m., she messaged me and said, I have a present for you today. I've never done this with anyone, but I'm trusting you. Right now, I'm considering you my social media intern, but if things go well, we can talk about me hiring you part-time for an hourly rate. So then I got into the account and she basically just sent me a message saying go crazy. So what I had to do was tweet, respond to fans, talk to fans, basically just get hype about Miranda again. So then she sent a message that says, aw, OMG, they would be so sad if they knew it wasn't me though. Thank you for doing this. I'm so grateful, but I'm nervous they will know it's not me responding to them. That would backfire terribly. They'd be so mad. I'm stressed.
By Adam's admission, this was a dream come true for him. Like, here he was, 17, friends with one of his idols, and now he was about to start working for her. I mean, imagine if you were on a first name basis with Beyonce or like your idol. But that dream was about to blow up in the biggest way possible for Adam, and it was all because of none other than Meghan Trainor.
So then came a tweet about Miranda Sings coming out as a Meghan Trainor fan, which she was initially confused about. So then I explained it again, and Colleen was fully gonna go ahead posting it herself, as you can see here. So I helped give her the photos and the concept, and she said, when should I do that? Should I do that today or tomorrow before I post the video? And I said, what are you waiting for, today? And she says, okay, cool, showing that she had every single intention to post this tweet on her own behalf.
Let me read the full, now deleted tweet. Quote, I have a secret. I am coming out today for you all. Notice how the word coming is spelled. This has been so hard to come to terms with, but I'm proud. I stand before you today as a Meghan Trainor fan. I hope you can all accept me. And ends with a rainbow pride emoji, and the backlash was swift. Taylor is jealous right now. Now, for context, if you don't really get the joke that this was intended to be, Meghan Trainor is an American singer who is famous for songs like All About That Bass. But she's also disliked by a very vocal part of the internet for reasons ranging from allegations that she's an industry plant, to her problematic quotes about EDs, to even content of her music being seen as hypocritical regarding body positivity while also weight shaming people within her own music. Okay, way to go. And all of this is to say some people get shamed for being a Meghan Trainor fan. But the reason people were upset with the tweet was because it was seen as queer baiting coming from a woman who identifies as straight, which, to be fair, it kind of is. But to be honest, whether the joke is funny or not isn't as important to this story as the fact that when Adam pitched this tweet to Colleen, she directly approved it and saw it several times before he posted it. So Adam tweeted it with her approval, and things did not go so well from there. Here's a fan's reaction. At Colleen, you always talk about how much you care about our community and stuff, and I don't see how you think that coming out as a joke is appropriate. You're 33 years of age. I'm a long-term fan, but I'm asking you now to apologize. This is gross. And Colleen replies to this with an apology and says something really interesting to me. Quote, I'm deeply sorry. Miranda is a character. A lot of the time I base the character on people who are idiots. I will see people do something awful and then do it as Miranda to show them how idiotic it looks. Now, I want you to put a pin in that about Miranda just being a character, because later I'm going to share an interview Colleen did that says quite the opposite. Remember earlier when I showed you how Colleen approved the tweet ahead of time? Well, in later messages to Adam, once she began getting backlash, she told him that she, quote, would never post something like that, and now everyone thinks I'm homophobic, and that she was really upset.
She sent me a screenshot from someone on Twitter, and she said, uh-oh, am I gonna get in trouble? Be careful. I don't want to be in a scandal and have to apologize. Please, please, please be careful. People are very sensitive these days. This is one of the main reasons it's hard to do Miranda now. People have a hard time understanding satire and jokes, especially with sensitive subjects. And she said, the thing is, I agree with them. Queerbaiting is not a joke. I'm super sad I've upset so many people. I'm telling you, girl, I'm super sensitive, like near tears. Again, trying to guilt me and make me feel really bad for something that she had already approved and found funny. It was just guilt-tripping me that I had done all this to her. And I sent the following message. I've logged out and this situation will die down. I love you so much and this will pass. I got left unread and I was ignored from this point on.
Doesn't matter, she still sent it to him. What does him lying about that part got to do with anything? What?
I'm gonna be really honest for a second. I spent that entire day just crying in bed and texting my friends, and my mom and dad were just comforting me the entire day. I was a mess that day. I was completely radio silent on everything.
I'm gonna slightly shift gears here for a moment, as it's important to note right up front that no matter how obvious this abuse of power may sound to us now, nowhere in the 2020 video does Adam ever directly accuse Colleen of grooming, not until much later. Now, for those of you who don't know what grooming is, and judging from some of the absolutely garbage comments I've seen on the internet about this situation from asshats who would rather smell their own farts than attempt to educate themselves, let me break down exactly what grooming is. The National Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Children has defined grooming as a form of abuse where, quote, someone builds a relationship, trust, and emotional connection with a child or young person so they can manipulate, exploit, and abuse them. Now, one common misconception that people have about grooming is that grooming is always done with the intent of having a minor do something sexual with the groomer. This is not always the case. It's important to note that grooming in many situations can simply be an adult attempting to control a young person in emotional and mental ways to get them to do something for them. For instance, RAINN lists warning signs of grooming on their website, like trust development and keeping secrets, which they describe as abusers attempt to gain trust of a potential victim through gifts, attention, sharing secrets, and other means to make them feel that they have a caring relationship and to train them to keep the relationship secret. Now, by rewarding Adam's fan loyalty with direct private communications to his idol and giving him undergarments and access to her Twitter and confiding with information about her personal life to Adam, it can be seen as one clear textbook sign of grooming. And that's just like one example right now, not to give too much of the story away, but two other surefire signs of grooming are discussions of sexual topics and an attempt by abusers to make their behavior seem natural to avoid raising suspicions. So just like the other stuff, lock that in your brain for later. Now, a fair question to be asked at this time was, did Colleen Ballinger groom one of her teenage fans? This becomes a huge conversation across social media from anybody who saw Adam's 2020 video. And just like every controversy ever in the history of social media, this inspired people to cast a good hard look at Colleen over the history of her career. And what was found wasn't exactly pleasant.
And catch the mice. I set the mouse trap. I set the mouse trap. Then it goes snap. My little boy Jose, I saw him outside. He was gardening with his shirt on. I was like, oh man, oh so hot, you know. He hotwired a new car and took me on a date in it, and it was nice.
Having issues with your man checking out another woman, then that just means that you're not sexy enough for him. So why don't you take off your clothes and boy? So then they're about to close the doors to the airplane, and who walks on? An extremely obese Asian woman with facial hair. And I turn around, and there are no open seats on the plane. So of course she comes and sits right next to me and on me, and her like fat rolls are like rolling over onto me.
Despite the existence of these particular videos, which started making the rounds in 2020 and piled on the controversy for her in an even bigger way than she anticipated, this isn't even the tip of the iceberg on what we'll be talking about in regards to Colleen Ballinger. But the controversy was still enough to get people talking, and in particular, some of those talking were the most noteworthy Miranda fans at the time.
Get over it. You have nothing.
This is Cody Tyler. Now, it's really hard to talk about Cody Tyler if you don't know anything about the situation already, since most of their social media presence has been obliterated, okay, is gone, for reasons that will become much clearer later. But as they say, you know, the internet never forgets. She is a stingy bitch, okay? She will hold a grudge. So really quick, I want to give a huge shout out to a source that I pulled from to help put this section and later discussions of Cody together. So thank you to Xylie Gets Real for her coverage on Cody's part of this story, because without her preservation efforts in recent days, covering Cody accurately would be a challenge. Now, for those who don't know, Cody is or was a YouTuber who became infamous on the internet for a number of controversies, but most notably publicly criticizing James Charles's makeup for causing them an allergic reaction. Now, important context I should throw right up front here. Cody Tyler is 33 years old and one of the more widely known Mirfandas, meaning that throughout this entire part of the story, Cody has been a grown-ass adult. Again, make of that what you will. And on May 5th, 2020, Cody set their sights on Adam McIntyre by making a video response to his allegations against Colleen.
In the description that I posted about Colleen's Miranda Sings account having controversial tweets on it, I highly recommend that you watch that video if you are unfamiliar with everything that happened and want to see more in-depth details. So in that video, we talk about the tweets I'm about to show you. I made a 10-part series about you bullying an entire fandom because Colleen didn't want to be your friend. And she's dramatic? Are you freaking kidding
Now, I'm not gonna go crazy in depth on this video because I think there's really two important things to keep in mind about Cody Tyler's role in this entire saga. Number one, many of the victims I've talked to in this story have made it very clear that they believe Cody needs to be held accountable for many things, and focusing too hard on Cody's story seeks only to poison the well with the Colleen Ballinger saga. I had even initially messaged Cody early on, which I just stopped pursuing. Now, unfortunately, this story cannot accurately be told without including Cody Tyler's involvement, so I'll be sticking strictly to the information that pertains to Adam and the others' stories. Even as far back as 2020, when Cody was about 30 years old, they've basically muddied the waters every time it comes to Adam's allegations against Colleen. This entire 35-minute video, which is now deleted, works overtime to discredit Adam's story by showing him wearing the bra, or by showing screenshots that she claims poke holes in his overall story. All, of course, while conveniently leaving out the fact that at the root of this, Adam is accusing Colleen of sending undergarments to a young teen, which she did. There's also this really interesting little detail that Cody mentions. It's kind of a non sequitur right now, doesn't have to do with anything right now, but it might be interesting for you to remember for later.
Because they don't exist, and this group chat doesn't exist. We've been over this, sis.
Yep, just store that away for now. Cody's saying the group chats don't exist. What's that mean, Cody? Anyway, at one point in the video, Cody shows a screenshot of Adam acknowledging the point about him wearing the bra when he was 13. And I'm gonna let the clip play a little bit longer than normal so you can hear Xylie say exactly what any rational adult should be thinking when watching this video.
After his video was posted, Adam then sent out a statement on Twitter that said, "I just want to say, fans of Colleen have been sharing around a picture of me with the items on over my clothes during a video call when I was 13. In my video today, I state I didn't see them, and my parents took them away. To specify, my parents took them away once they became aware of them, as they were addressed to me, and I opened them."
Doesn't matter, she still sent it to him! She still sent it to him! What does him lying about that part got to do with anything? What?
What in the Michael B. Jordan on whole wheat? Okay, just roll the intro. I literally have no idea why this has to be reiterated, but I'ma say it on this screen, I'ma say it on this screen, and I'ma say it on the big screen and get my bitch face all up in this. It doesn't matter if or when Adam put the undergarments on, or if and when his parents took them away. He was 13. He was 13. He was 13. Grown-ass Colleen sent lacy lingerie to a dude who had barely just cracked into his teenage years, and I don't give one high fructose corn if he had asked, because it doesn't matter. Class dismissed. Actually, you know what? No, we're still going. Professor Petty is pissed. How I just reacted is not how most people reacted. I don't know if we need a reminder of the power dynamic at play here, but Adam was a small teen content creator and Colleen was one of the biggest YouTubers on the platform. Power imbalance. And since it was just his voice against hers, the floodgates opened up and other powerful people with asinine takes thought they too should dump on a kid. People like pre-canceled James Charles, who tweeted, "It's literally all lies." Literally? It's literally all lies, James. You sure about that, James? Did you talk to Adam, James? Did you think to acknowledge Adam's age in all of this and how it's literally impossible for him to have done anything wrong in a situation where an adult sends their undergarments? Would you send a teen your underwear? Oh wait, no. Don't answer that. You have a history. Let's keep reading. It's literally all lies. The boy begged Colleen for the panties for years. What are you He ran her Twitter for one day and she never ghosted him either. Sure, his story doesn't look the best, but he's looking for attention since Colleen won't give it to him anymore and y'all are feeding it instead. Even if she did address it, people would say she's attacking a minor. I'm tired of seeing my friend dragged over lies. And I'm tired of seeing kids dragged over the ignorant lies of adults who'd rather defend shitty behavior than look at reality. Allegedly. And why is it that it literally seems like evidence has come out to further clarify Adam's grooming and suddenly now you ain't got shit to say? Or did I miss your tweet apologizing? Wait, hold on. Let me look.
She's a wolf. in mouse clothing.
Nothing there. What about here?
The mouse's ghostly howl stakes claim to...
Yeah, still nothing. Oh, what about... Well, I guess James hasn't posted an apology, but that ain't none of my business. Class dismissed. Now, other big creators like Kendall Ray tweeted in defense of Colleen Ballinger at the time, decrying how cancel culture is so toxic. Even Rich Lux entered the chat, characterizing the entire situation as a joke between her and her friend.
It was a joke between her and her friend to send a subscriber some panties, girl. Now, that at that time may have been funny, but now looking back, the person came forward and said that it was just in poor taste, and it is exactly in poor taste.
To be completely fair, Rich and Kendall have both come forward in the past few weeks to admit that they got this take very, very wrong, and both of them have since denounced Colleen in light of where the rest of the story goes, so I'm not coming for either of them with this. But to be clear, 100% shade at James Charles over this. The alleged groomer pot calling the alleged groomer black is f***ing weird. Allegedly. Now, I'm mostly showing all of this to show you exactly what Adam was up against for speaking his truth, and I think James Charles in particular made it infinitely worse for him. And the problem with Adam's truth, judging by everyone's knee-jerk reaction, was that it was him sharing it.
The worst part of the Colleen Ballinger thing is that if you reverse the genders, everyone would be losing their and canceling right away. If Colleen was a 30-something-year-old man sending lingerie to a 13-year-old girl, gender doesn't matter, still awful behavior.
If y'all have been with me for a while, you know we've covered extensively the fact that any human being, regardless of identity, can be a victim, and male victims absolutely do exist, and to think otherwise is not only willfully ignorant, but perpetuates abuse.
I should have realized and recognized how dumb that was and never sent it to him, no matter how much he asked. But it was never a sneaky, creepy, gross thing that I was doing in secret.
After about 2 weeks of discussion online over whether or not Colleen had crossed a line, she finally released a video titled Addressing Everything that sought to cover everything from her older, more offensive content to the allegations that she had been inappropriate with Adam. She starts the video by addressing her more problematic content and apologizing for it, thanking her fans for, helping her grow after the past 12 years or so. But she then pivots to Adam.
Someone had made a video saying some shocking and hurtful things about me, and a lot of you wanted me to address it, and I didn't. I didn't address it not because I was just ignoring it and hoping it would go away, but because when this person messaged me letting me know they were upset, I responded immediately.
In this video, she doesn't name Adam, which is ironic. She says she took her time crafting a response because she had actually received a message from Adam's mother asking her to not speak his name ever again. But for the duration of the video, Colleen admits that she had in fact sent Adam the undergarments, but states that Adam saying this took what she actually did out of context.
But in this situation, context is everything, so I would like to give you some context to this situation. 4 years ago, I did a live stream, and in this live stream, I did a giveaway. I was giving away clothes that were unused, tag still on, brand new, that I had just bought that I did not want. One of the items that was in this box was a really ugly pair of underwear. As soon as we pulled them out, Corey and I started laughing and joking around about how ugly they were. Why did I buy these ridiculous underwear? It was so stupid.
I just got a big old box from Forever 21 and I want to open it up in front of you guys. Maybe I'll send the ones I don't want to you guys. I got a bunch of crop tops. The panties from
And people started asking for them in the live stream.
Everyone wants that bra.
You want the bra?
Everyone wants the bra.
What's interesting is if you roll back the tape here, you can see even based on Adam's video that Colleen is mischaracterizing how the stream went down. It is true Adam asked for the undergarments after Colleen offered them.
He's so rude. What made you order these ugly clothes?
Adam.
Oh my god, that makes me laugh. I want to send him something. Do you want the bra, Adam?
Do you want the bra and panties? Tweet right now.
But that's still just, kind of nitpicking and ignoring the big ethical and moral dilemma of, sending undergarments to kids. But anyway, go off.
I should have realized and recognized how dumb that was and never sent it to him, no matter how much he asked. But it was never a sneaky, creepy, gross thing that I was doing in secret. It was a silly, stupid mistake that now is being blown way out of proportion.
Not to keep interrupting you, Colleen, but let's think about the optics here for a minute. Firstly, saying, I should have never sent it to him no matter how much he asked is low-key victim blaming and a weird thing to pin on an obviously starstruck kid given your clear imbalance of power over him.
I should have realized and recognized how dumb that was and never sent it to him no matter how much he asked.
Let's try something. Let's pretend for a second you're a man and a girl accused you of allegedly grooming her. And you say something like you just said, I should never have sent it to her no matter how much she asked. Does it hit the same? Or you know what, better yet, let's actually have a man say her full quote.
I should have realized and recognized how dumb that was and never sent it to her, no matter how much she asked, but it was never a sneaky, creepy, gross thing that I was doing in secret. It was a silly, stupid mistake that is now being blown way out of proportion.
Let me actually ask you, Colleen, if a 33-year-old man had sent those undergarments to your daughter and said it was never a sneaky, creepy, gross thing, just a silly, stupid mistake that is now being blown out of proportion, how would you feel? For the rest of her video, Colleen doubles down on Rich Luck's characterization of the entire situation as being a joke. Colleen also admits to using Adam's jokes on the Miranda Sings account, but says that this was part of an ongoing thing where she claims to have regularly used many fans' jokes.
And he started tweeting stuff for me.
The quote, and he is included in that, refers to Adam before she claims that Adam sent every proposed tweet, but she didn't look over them closely enough before she approved them.
And pretty quickly, there was a tweet that was posted that was problematic. This was my fault. He sent me a very long list of a ton of different things he wanted to post, and I did not look over it closely enough. I did not review it closely enough. I remember the moment when I saw all of these things. I was breastfeeding my son, and I kind of just scrolled through and was like, yeah, go for it, have fun, I trust you. And when he posted it, I put zero blame on him at all. It was my fault. I knew better than to let someone else tweet for me. I should have reviewed closely every single thing that was going to come out of Miranda's mouth. I let him know that I loved him, he did a great job, it was my fault, not his. I publicly apologized for the tweet. I deleted the tweets that were posted that weren't posted from me. I let him know that I was upset, that people were disappointed in me, and then he said he logged out of the account, and that was the end of it.
The end of this video is interesting for a few reasons. Number one, as we've seen, her account doesn't exactly align with Adam's, and as we'll see below, it doesn't align with the receipts either. But number two, she says this.
It absolutely breaks my heart to see people saying negative things about me interacting with my fans based on this situation. I love talking to my fans. I love interacting with my fans. My fans are many different ages, so yes, there are some teenagers, but there's also adults. I love supporting them, supporting their passions, learning about them in the same way that you like to do that for me. To me, you aren't just my fans, you're my friends. We all have seen me cry way too many times on this channel about things I probably should have kept to myself. I definitely overshare, and I have definitely overshared with fans when they have asked me what's wrong or asked me how I'm feeling. I definitely have overshared in the past with them and talked with them a little too much when I should have kept things to myself or talked to family or close friends instead. And the things that are being said about me are absolutely horrendous. No, I should have never sent a fan underwear. How stupid am I? No, I definitely should have never given him access to my Twitter account. And no, I shouldn't have talked to him as often as I did. But I am not a monster. I am not a groomer.
Yeah, so about that.
Whenever all we had was our phones, so I lost all of my online friends because Colleen did not want people to know that she was an awful person to me.
Reaction to Colleen's apology was uniformly positive across the board and was enough to get people to doubt Adam's credibility and move on. And over the next 3 years, people had tried to paint Adam as some kind of clout goblin, and the Colleen fandom turned on him as well, further isolating an already vulnerable person.
All of my Twitter friends now believe that I was a liar because of, Colleen's response. No one took the video seriously. Mainstream media made fun of it. My in real life friends, a lot of them left me because, they were like, if you can manipulate a 30-year-old, you can manipulate us. All this is like a 17-year-old. It was honestly like the worst time of my entire life. I do hold so much resentment towards a lot of people and a lot of actions of people because of that. But furthermore, I hold a lot of crippling anxiety about moving forward with relationships with people romantically or just friendships, because look how easy it was for me to lose everything. And this happened, by the way, in the middle of the pandemic, whenever all we had was our phones. So I lost all of my online friends because Colleen did not want people to know that she was an awful person to me.
With nowhere else to go in light of the doubt cast on him, Adam decided to go onward and become a tea drama YouTuber. And based on my conversation with him, this makes a lot of sense to me now. Like, Colleen had him neck deep from an early age on gossip forums. He was already a content creator with interest in documentary filmmaking, and he had been the focus of a number of drama commentary pieces. So he was well versed in that genre. And even with his reputation in a very strange place at the time, he went on with his life, covering everything from the Mr. Beast / Chris situation to Jeffree Star, Shane Dawson, and even iilluminaughtii, which somehow feels like 100 years ago, but my documentary on that was just posted like a couple of weeks ago. Wow. But Adam also never stopped trying to sound the alarm on Colleen Ballinger, releasing 11 videos about her before this situation, including Colleen Ballinger is worse than you think, is Colleen Ballinger exploiting charity, and Colleen Ballinger's inappropriate behavior to kids. As you can see in the comments across Reddit, his YouTube, Twitter, and basically anywhere on the internet before late May 2023, his videos proved to be ineffective because for 3 years, Adam had been labeled as a clout chaser, the next Trisha Paytas, the next Onision, even going as far as to say that all of this had been a ploy for Adam to grow his channel. Like, it always amazes me how some small-minded people default to accusing you of clout chasing when you call out very obviously harmful behavior from influencers who have millions of followers simply because those people can't handle the truth that they idolize someone problematic. God forbid we talk about things that matter and try to help communities, but I digress. Nevertheless, cruelty and victim blaming was the story of what happened to Adam McIntyre, and there's a very good chance it would have stayed that way if not for a shocking and completely out of nowhere validation at the hands of none other than Cody Tyler.
Because they don't exist. And this group chat doesn't exist. We've been over this, sis.
Wait, isn't it funny how this woman is talking is how Cody was talking in the current state? Isn't that funny?
The video title, Why I Left the Colleen Ballinger Fandom.
I believe her fandom is the most toxic fandom online, and why I think she's just as bad as Shane Dawson.
You might have seen the tweets about this video, you might have even seen Adam's reaction to their video, but have you ever watched this whole thing? In hindsight, it is a very strange, now deleted 30-minute video about how Cody Tyler, a Colleen superfan, was no longer a Colleen superfan, casually reveals the fact that they wrote sexually violent Colleen Ballinger fan fiction that Cody admits is about Colleen's husband Eric being SA'd. So why am I even talking about this video at all? Because peppered throughout this very strange explanation are a few massive bombshells that completely changed the way the world looked at none other than Adam McIntyre. Cody starts by detailing how they became closely affiliated with Colleen by revealing that they posted a video about Colleen that Colleen retweeted. This ended up with them becoming friends with Colleen and getting added into the group chats. Wait, hold up, Cody. Didn't you say previously that those group chats didn't exist?
Because they don't exist. And this group chat doesn't exist. We've been over this, sis.
Anyways, throughout the video, Cody details that as one of the more prominent members of the Colleen fandom, they were soon invited into private group chats with not only other Colleen fans, but Colleen's friends, family, and even Colleen herself. The most important takeaway of this particular video, which has now been deleted, have to do with the details that these group chats were far more disturbing than they initially appeared.
When I started joining these group chats, I did not know at the time that there were minors in these group chats, which I should have done the research on. So I want to apologize to any child who were in these group chats. I should not have been in a group chat with you. There's no excuse for that. Should not have been in group chats with minors. Done. Period.
After all of that context and Cody's story about the fanfic, Cody goes into the real bombshell, why they made the video about Adam McIntyre and how sorry they claim to be for making it all of that time ago. According to Cody, they reached out to Colleen before she made a public statement. The addressing everything video, and Colleen told them, quote, "I wanted to reach out to you privately and in confidence and let you know why I'm staying silent. After he sent me that last message that he has now made public, I responded to his message immediately, did not ghost him, and then received a message from his mother through his DMs asking me to not speak of him. I realize now I should have never been communicating with him in the first place. However, comma, he is lying about a lot and showing things out of context and will get major backlash if I were to expose that. But I am trying my best to respect his family's wishes and protect him as a minor as best I can. I am sad and disappointed about all of this, and I'm just trying to keep it together right now. It's amazing how suddenly you care about protecting him when it's all about to come crashing down on you. I mean, maybe just protect him from the beginning, but what do I know?" But then Cody just sort of casually reveals that Colleen Ballinger was messaging other children about, well,
he's not even the only child that she was talking to. She was literally in DMs talking to children about sex. Here's one. Are you a virgin? This is Colleen in a group chat with children. They're called the weenies. This is the group chat.
Because they don't exist. And this group chat doesn't exist. We've been over this, sis.
If you're in the Colleen Ballinger fandom, you know about this group chat. She's also asking, what's your favorite position? Corey was literally sending me stuff on Adam. Like, I don't think people understand this. Corey messaging me here, this is all manipulation. Like, I want people to understand this, and all of this is all manipulation.
I want to take a second here to talk about this Weenies group chat, since most of y'all, myself included, have never been Colleen Ballinger super fans, let alone super fans that would know what a Weenies chat is. Now, to talk about this, I need to take a quick sidebar to talk about snark subreddits. If there's one thing I've learned from my entire time on the internet, it's that if you're a public figure and there's a subreddit whose title is your name, followed by the word snark, and it has tens of thousands of members, you're probably sus as hell. I mean, there's Brittany Dawn snark, Duggars snark, Haley Baldwin snark, Love Rant Fam snark. Honestly, even Cody Rants has a snark subreddit, even though it, you know, as of today only has like 40 members, but you know, way to go. Now, not every snark page details alleged criminal activity and overall shitty behavior as a human, but if you've got a lot of skeletons in your closet, snark redditors will be there to just dig them out with the biggest shovel imaginable. So this next part comes courtesy of the subreddit Colleen Ballinger Snark, a community of former Murfandas and dedicated Colleen skeptics documenting Colleen Ballinger's history of questionable behavior in painstaking detail, who deserve a lot of credit here. According to the Colleen Ballinger Snark subreddit, the Weenies group chat was created in early 2017 for Colleen fans to talk about everything from day-to-day life to memes to Colleen shows and videos. Now, Adam told me there were 23 people in total in the group, and later on, Colleen herself was added to the group and was a somewhat active participant. Now, to put this in more relatable terms, picture your idol. I don't know, maybe it's Beyonce, maybe it's Harry Styles or a writer. Now, picture being a teen in a small group chat of 23 people and Harry Styles joins the chat. That would probably blow your mind, right? Some of the participants in the group chat were over 18, like Colleen, her sister-in-law Jessica, and Cody Tyler, but virtually everybody else in the group was 13 to about 17, with some members being as young as 12. There was a perception that the Colleen Ballinger fandom was separated by hierarchy, with some fan groups being preferred over other fan groups, since Colleen knew so many of the participants personally. Now, this next part is alleged by the subreddit, and to be fair, it is supported by screenshots later on, but apparently the kids in the Weenies group chat were allegedly given special treatment by Colleen, such as being featured in a vlog, given free tickets to Miranda Sings shows, or even getting arrangements to meet her privately. Now, the name of the group wasn't always Weenies, as you'll see, but it was always the same group, and it was not exactly the most appropriate group chat for youngins to be in, something that lines up with what Adam hinted at and is now confirmed in Cody's new video. And it wasn't just Colleen Ballinger allegedly being inappropriate, it was people from her entire crew, especially her best friend Corey DeSoto.
Corey was literally sending me stuff on Adam. Like, I don't think people understand this. Corey messaging me here, this was all manipulation. You can't tell me that this wasn't strategy. They were trying to get me to make the video so they could see the backlash that I would get with talking badly about Adam, so they knew what they could talk about. Good job. You really manipulated me. Do we want to talk about you looking at mature content in group chats? Or how you were kind of talking crap about Eric, Colleen's husband, because Lynn wanted to hold your hand and not his. And then you also talking about drugs and alcohol.
There's no way I want to take away from his story and what he went through, and this just fucked me up. Like, mentally, it really fucked me up. So that is something that I need to apologize for. Adam, I am so very sorry.
Now, the reaction to Cody's video was monumental. There were reactions all across Twitter, astonished at the existence of all of this new evidence against Colleen, and now Corey as well. And people who previously spoke out against Adam apologized for ever doubting him. And there were two major things that happened as a result. Now, I'm going to be telling the story a bit out of order because I think it's really important that we put a cap on Cody Tyler's involvement as soon as possible. If you know, you know, but if you don't, shortly after Cody released this video, Dustin Dailey entered a chat with a video of his own. First, he publicly apologized to Adam for ever doubting him.
But before I get into all of that, I want to just apologize. Literally for years, I've had issues with Adam because I thought that what he was saying about Colleen was a lie, and now it's not, and I feel terrible for that and what he went through. I sat here and watched this whole video. It was an hour and 45 minutes, and I was sat there the whole time like this, just with my mouth open. I could not wrap my head around what Colleen Ballinger did to this kid. And then all these videos came out of Colleen just being a disgusting, just downright nasty person, like with the things that she would say to people and just the manipulation alone. What she did to Adam is completely abhorrent, and I do not think that Colleen Ballinger should be able to have a platform to do this to people. There's no way I want to take away from his story and what he went through, and this just, so that is something that I need to apologize for. Adam, I am so very sorry.
Honestly, it's a good apology and one Adam publicly accepted, so it'll be linked below. But the second thing Dustin did was, well, I'm gonna let Dustin say his piece, okay? A little context, as of me recording this, Dustin is in the middle of making a video series that allegedly exposes a completely unrelated group chat between notable beauty influencers. At one point he tweeted about that upcoming expose, and well, something weird happened.
The other day, I was hinting about what I was going to be talking about in my series. I ended up messaging Cody Rants because for some reason I think she replied to one of my tweets or something, and I think that she thought that this group chat that I was going to be exposing was about her, and it just simply was not. Cody is calling out all these people for deleting things. Tell me why Cody has deleted a video. Tell me why Cody has deleted almost 1,000 tweets. It's very, very hypocritical to me. Cody was friends with this kid, Will, back in the day. You guys may remember him as, oh my God, expose you. He was 15 years old, and he was in a whole bunch of group chats with all of these people, Cody included. But for Cody to act as if she has some kind of like moral high ground on this, she absolutely does not, and I'm gonna show you why. He plays on my server with my friends. Cody is admitting to hanging out with a minor online and playing video games and writing fan fictions, and I'm not okay with that.
Dustin followed all of this up by tweeting, "What I added to the story about Cody was pertinent. It not only showcased how deceitful Cody was, but that Cody also knew Colleen was posting that apology video that decimated Adam and continued to withhold information that would have absolutely changed things. So spare me your bullshit. Cody was living for the attention that was undeserved and actually taking the spotlight off of Adam, and now that everything is out in the open, the focus can actually be on Adam where it was supposed to be in the first place, and not on some 30-something-year-old who wrote fan fictions with minors in a group chat." Look, given the importance of all the information Cody provided and how this part of the story was kickstarted by Cody's own video, I cannot in good faith tell this story without addressing Cody Tyler in some way. On one hand, there have been words shared and actions shown that present someone who is potentially not well, so I truly do hope they're getting the help that they clearly need. On the other hand, based on the evidence currently available and the statements of Adam and other survivors, Dustin's not wrong. With the fanfics and hanging out in the group chats as a 33-year-old and this whole thing with the screaming live stream and also the recent revelation that Cody allegedly did all of this for money to get a new computer. But more importantly, I also asked Adam about this. Looking back on this current situation now, just talking about you, do you wish that Cody had left you out of their video?
Yeah. It's such a simple answer, yes. I mean, I've been sitting on these screenshots for 3 years, never wanting to release them. I didn't want to be any part of it because I didn't want it to be released how deep this went, because I'm still dealing with feeling embarrassed by it. I wanted no part of it.
It is heartbreaking to hear you say that you feel embarrassed by it. And I understand that. And again, that's a very valid emotion. It makes me sad. It makes me sad for the budding young adult Adam and for the child Adam, that there would be someone who could affect you so profoundly in this way that you would in any way feel embarrassed about any of it when none of it was your fault.
For me to feel this way and for Cody to do that to me and me to feel so shitty about it, the implications of that has allowed so many people to feel like, from then my video responding, doing everything, to feel that they can come forward and it not happen to them how it happened in 2020. To know that like the domino effect was that all of these people who've been holding on to this, and they have been holding on to this, now feel that they could speak up. So if I didn't have that, I'd be going insane right now, because there would have been no positive in it.
I think that explains why we can now leave Cody behind here.
So I am aware that the last video I posted is being talked about a lot, and I wanted to continue on the conversation.
Almost immediately after the video came out, Adam began posting to Twitter and YouTube and streaming on Twitch to acknowledge how grateful he was that after 3 years of being pinned as a liar, he was finally feeling validated. In private and later on a bit more publicly, he was also overwhelmed because this was an old trauma that he didn't ask to reawaken.
The thing that really, really, really pissed me off was that Cody released the screenshots from the Weenies group chat of Colleen being inappropriate in sexual jokes or whatever with me, because it just opened up Pandora's box of the members of the Weenies releasing information as well of more things. And I remember calling my mom in tears, being like, I'm gonna have to do this again, and it's not gonna be anything like 2020, because now I have to reveal everything because everyone else has revealed everything. It just feels so slimy to me now knowing Cody's intentions, because that wasn't Cody's story to tell, nor did Cody care really that they were doing that. They just wanted, to fill the video up for like mid-roll ads so that they could buy their new computer. But at the end of the day, they've now opened up me having to process things that I never wanted to process, and hearing opinions that I never really thought that I wanted to hear, which had to do with the conversation going from Colleen's original apology video. She goes, I am not a groomer, do not throw those words around, because I hadn't released any of the information that shows her in that light, really. However, people started showing it without me wanting it, and then I was getting questioned on it. I was getting journalists reached out to me. Like, I am not allowing people to do this to me again. So whenever I said that I felt as the face of it, that's what I meant in terms of people restarting this and speaking for me whenever it comes to Colleen.
But Adam persevered through it and decided that if he was going to be dragged back into this, he might as well set the story straight the only way he knew how, by posting. In his first video, he clarifies that the text messages Cody showed of Colleen being inappropriate lined up with his own experiences. The toxic environment that Cody highlighted appears to go a lot deeper though, with Adam alleging that Colleen and her team had a history of bullying and general mean behaviors constantly directed at the fandom behind their backs. It's in Adam's nearly 2-hour-long follow-up titled My Relationship with Colleen Ballinger that things truly begin to heat up. This is a really long video with a lot of intense stories, please be advised, and I'm going to censor my words, but there will be talk of young person endangerment, the sexualization of minors, and behaviors that allegedly appears to be textbook grooming. Now, I'm not going to be commenting on most of this until the end. In this video, he shows texts that show Colleen allegedly asking a then 15-year-old Adam in the Weenies chat if he was a virgin.
Adam, you need questions for your Q&A? Are you a virgin? And then furthermore goes on and says, what's your favorite position? What's your favorite position?
Another message shows Colleen asking teenage girls to share in graphic detail what their first periods were like.
Tell me all your thoughts when you had your first periods, please and thank you. Just randomly. And then she goes, example, I thought I shit myself because the blood was so dark in my underwear. she would just come in randomly and say stuff like that.
And on it goes. Adam alleges that Colleen would also make fun of fans' mental health and that she made it a point to mock one fan who got a tattoo of her name. But where it gets worse is when Colleen would body check him, which, if you didn't know, is something that Healthline defines as examining, measuring, or monitoring something related to your body, usually your weight, size, or shape. And under usual circumstances, when you do it to yourself, can be perfectly normal. But when other people, like say a grown woman who's not actually related to you, regularly does it, it can, quote, become problematic if the behavior is compulsive and interferes with your ability to go about your daily life. Adam discusses one specific time that he sent a photo of himself at the beach to Colleen over Snapchat. Adam actually elaborated on this a bit more in our interview and the damaging impact that it had on his own self-image. Did her thoughts about, as you say, if you're skinny, then she thinks you're great, did that have any effect on your own body image as a child?
The reason that I really struggle with eating and stuff to this day, and I really struggle with anything to do with food and not eating or whatever like that, is because for so many years I listened to these conversations happen, or I had them happen to me, where my favorite person in the world, who could do no wrong, loved my body the most whenever I was really skinny. So for many years, and still things that I'm struggling with today, I have tried to emulate that body of a 14-year-old because, you know, that was my most praised body.
In those messages, Colleen allegedly also shared a number of inappropriate details about her relationship with her ex, Josh, ranging from abuse that she claimed he put her through to the size of his privates. Adam alleges that all of this was fed to him as an excuse to get him to post about it on drama gossip sites, if you can imagine, while also making him feel more comfortable about this very inappropriate relationship he had with a much older woman. I think it's important to remember that Adam met Colleen when he was 13. They stopped talking when he was 17, meaning she's only ever talked to him when he was underage, never as a legal adult. In one of the most devastating parts of Adam's video, and one that often gets kind of thrown by the wayside, is the time that Adam claims Colleen invited him to visit her before a 2018 Dublin show, so the two of them could check out the Wax Museum. At this time, Adam was only about 15, and Dublin was about 5 hours away from his home in Derry, so he had to arrange his school schedule, get his parents to drive him, and deal with a constantly erratic Colleen changing plans, which resulted in this.
I'm on my way to Dublin, 4-hour drive from Derry. My parents are driving me, my mom and dad. She goes, I haven't eaten today. Is it cool if we just get lunch instead of the Wax Museum, or would you be gutted? And I go, oh, well, where do you want to meet? And she goes, we're staying right next to the Wax Museum, which is ironic because it would have been easy to go to the Wax Museum, but she just didn't want to she didn't care about me. She didn't care about me. Do you want me to meet you at the door of the hotel? She goes, sure, we'll be running errands, be back soon. Wait, no. Meet us at Bunsen. It's a burger place right next to my hotel. So before I even get to Dublin, she goes for lunch that I'm supposedly meeting her at, right? So then my parents are like, okay, did she not cancel on you? And they're pissed off at me and don't want me going to lunch with her because they're like, Adam, she's not being very nice to you right now. I remember that conversation. And then I go, my parents are so mad, and she goes, wait, are your parents coming? What's happening? I'm confused. Because the worst thing for Colleen is for my parents to be there because she can't talk to me inappropriately. And I go, they're leaving me off. And then she goes, Jesus, where are you? So literally right after that is now complaining that I'm not getting there on time, which is why they then didn't hang out with me. I was like, I don't know Dublin. I'm stressed out. Me and my mom and dad don't know where we're going. So this thing that had been hung over my head for so long, for me harassing people online, bullying people online, defending her, slandering her ex-husband. This was this meeting of going to the Wax Museum, going to the park, and then going for food. Now I'm not even going to food with her after doing all of that for her. So I'm stressing out now. I feel that my parents are not there. I feel that Colleen has left me. I feel like I'm abandoned in a city I do not know.
To be clear, that's an allegation that Colleen Ballinger promised to meet up with a teen fan who had to travel hours to be there and then abandon him in a city he didn't even know and didn't live in without his parents, or at least without knowing that his mom was there. In one of the absolute most shocking but most painstakingly detailed parts of the video, Adam walks us through his entire message history with Colleen to show how the Meghan Trainor situation came to be. He literally has nothing to hide.
I was stupid enough that I gave this woman years worth of viral content with Miranda Sings. So I would essentially take what you say and rework it for Miranda's tone, you know? So now I start sending the ideas.
He shows messages that Colleen was about to give up on the Miranda Sings character, and Colleen asking him to help with her channel.
People were saying this is the most active the fandom has been in months. The fandom is so great right now. She's been so active for 3 hours, whoa. And she goes, "Aw," and I go, "I hope I'm making you proud." And she goes, "They would be so sad if they knew it wasn't me." I'm 16 at this time, by the way. She's 33 at this time or something like that. 33, 34 or something like that. I don't know. I don't know what this is. Oh, oh no, I just liked it. Oh no, oh no, oh no. She is gonna get a notification right now that I have just unliked and, oh my God.
And the sheer volume of work he put in for free to help her make jokes for Miranda Sings.
I don't like using your creativity and insight for free. So just know I'm not planning on taking advantage of your help. 4 years. 4 years of work. 4 years of help.
He shows the channel going viral from his work.
Like, here's the thing. She didn't even know the context of, like, Animal Crossing, and those tweets were going viral. She didn't know what was popular, so that's why she was using me.
He shows the exact moments Colleen gave him her Twitter password, telling him to go crazy, and the message discussing potentially hiring him on a part-time basis.
And then, 15 minutes after, the Meghan Trainor tweets. Everyone will be starting to think you're announcing something really big, and then you hit them with that. She goes, "Should I do that today or tomorrow?" Again, confirming that she's on board with the tweet on the same day that she said that she doesn't trust anyone with her password. She goes, "Okay, cool. I have a present for you, and I've never done this with anyone, but I'm trusting you." I remember getting that and like being like, oh my God, I've got the job. She goes, "I'm giving you the temporary password for Miranda. Go crazy." That was it.
He also shows how Colleen directly approves the Meghan Trainor tweet, then allegedly gaslights him by saying, quote, "I'm so glad everything is doing well, but even though you have the password, I need to approve everything you post to avoid problems." Now, he shows Colleen guilt-tripping him over the tweet bombing, telling him that she would never post something like that, despite the fact that the messages show her approving the joke before Adam ever posted it, something she conveniently left out of her addressing everything video 3 years prior. Everything except that truth.
So then, I send the tweets that I, had posted that night, and she goes, "LOL, LOL." I go, "Enjoy your night, relax, love you." And then she goes the next day, "Remember, don't post anything without my approval," and I liked it because I didn't. And then I go, "That your series is doing well," and she goes, the next day, "I'm now getting an overwhelming amount of hate for the coming out stuff. I don't know what to do." She goes, "Well, what should I do? Should I address it? Even fans are mad." So at 16, I'm helping this woman get out of a scandal. But I'm really upset. I never would post something like that, and now everyone thinks I'm homophobic.
Now, Adam even continues on by showing Colleen apparently ghosting him after and allegedly spreading gossip in her group chats about him, even claiming that he was a known Colleen hate account, something we saw mentioned in Cody's video earlier.
I'm not going to allow myself to get emotional because I got emotional in my last video, so I'm going to hold myself together here, but you have no idea how hard it was to get sent a bunch of messages that whenever I was like, oh, maybe she's just taking a moment, not talking to me, to then find out that within that moment she was running with this narrative against me and trying to ruin me within the fandom and get people to turn on me and call me someone that was just trying to ruin her career and take her down. You've now seen everything that happened. Talk to me in 16 years if a 33-year-old takes advantage of Flynn for years, then runs shit-talking him on Twitter. You want to play that game? Why do you even bother following me? So she now goes and says that I'm like harassing and threatening her son. Then my mom messages and says, "This is Adam's mom. It's not nice when your child is brought into things." And Colleen, for all the messages that I've now for the first time shown my mom that you have messaged me, virgin, ass pics, position, period talk, like all this, your ex-husband, Josh's penis size, all this. That's why my mom now comes around and goes. But if you had read it correctly, you would have seen that he wasn't, and it was a comparison that was being made. Mother to mother, you may now understand. Never speak my son's name again and tell your sidekick the same applies to him, which was Corey.
Adam's video is monumentally detailed and comes packed to the brim with receipts for virtually every allegation he addresses. But all of this builds up to the absolutely sobering moment that, for me, made it clear this was going to get a whole lot worse. I'm gonna play this clip in full.
So to close off this video, I didn't bring this up. I didn't bring this up. Cody Tyler made a video without letting me really know, and it included screenshots of Colleen being inappropriate in group chats with me. So obviously I have to respond. I've never brought it there before. I had my original video, I'd never brought it there before. But in the wake of that, people who were in the group chat with me started sending me all these other ones of her, you know, being more inappropriate, and I just was like, this woman used me. This woman groomed me. And I'm gonna end it with the point that I made in my last video. No one on the internet during this was defending me. So as a 20-year-old, I'm going to defend my 17-year-old self. The conversations that you just witnessed throughout this entire video were all from Colleen, above the age of 30, and me from the age of 13 to 16. Do you know how, like, used that makes me feel? Like, how little that makes me feel? How stupid that makes me, like, how much I'm, like, doubting my intelligent growth? I feel stupid. I feel stupid that I allowed this to happen.
It is for all ages. Like, there are jokes that kids will laugh at, and there are jokes that will go over the kids' heads and are inappropriate, like sexual innuendos, like...
I want to take a quick moment regarding the allegations of grooming now that more of this story has been laid out. As y'all know with any Swoop doc, I like to briefly cover some of the warning signs of harmful behavior to better protect you, all of you watching, in case any of you or someone you know might be experiencing that type of abuse. So first, a reminder, grooming doesn't have to involve SA, but it often does. Grooming can take place online or in person. It's usually employed by a family member or someone else in the victim's circle of trust, such as a coach, teacher, youth group leader, or others who naturally have some interaction with the victim, like Colleen. So let's look at some of the warning signs. Starting with victim selection. Abusers often observe possible victims and select them based on the ease of access to them or their perceived vulnerability. Who could possibly be more easy to access for a powerful celebrity like Colleen and friends than her own fans who idolize her? Gaining access and isolating the victim. Abusers will attempt to physically or emotionally separate a victim from those protecting them and often seek out positions in which they have contact with minors. Trust and development and keeping secrets. We talked about that earlier, where the abuser pushes the victim to keep secrets, similar to how Colleen would share intimate details of her marriage and tell Adam not to tell anyone, or her joining group chats where parents were not involved. I mean, she created a position where she had contact with millions of minors through her content and honed in on a select few, making them feel very special, and who could blame them? Next, desensitization to touch and discussions of sexual topics. Abusers may also show the victim pornography or discuss sexual topics with them to introduce the idea of sexual contact. This is a big one. Again, by Colleen allegedly sharing increasingly intimate sexual details with Adam about her ex's private parts, asking Adam if he's a virgin and his favorite position, and commenting on his body, and also allegedly exposing him and others to pornography involving Trisha Paytas. Yeah, we'll get to that in a bit. Over time, she desensitized Adam to S-charged conversations where he, in his developing mind, thought it was normal and became comfortable with it. And if you think about it on a more global scale, in a way, she kind of allegedly mass groomed millions of fans by making sexual innuendos a very known, intentional, targeted part of all of her content. Allegedly. Except not allegedly, because she said that. Remember that clip I played you earlier? Yeah.
I'm not too old to go to my show. One thing I take a lot of pride in with my live shows is that it is for all ages. Like, there are jokes that kids will laugh at, and there are jokes that will go over the kids' heads and are inappropriate, like sexual innuendos, like.
And finally, attempt by abusers to make their behavior seem natural to avoid raising suspicion. Now, I want to pause for a quick second to be fully transparent. As many of you who've been with me for a while know, I was groomed as a young teen by two men who were in their 30s, which led me to being R-worded and repeatedly SA'd for years. I was targeted by a man who worked in the school district I was in as a kid. I was isolated from my family by being told they would disown me if I ever told them what was happening, and I was desensitized to sex with movies and music that he would give to me, which led him to R-wording me. And you know what? I hate having to censor these words. It just makes it sound so minimal. He raped me. There, I said it. YouTube, leave me alone. This led to years of clinical depression, arrested mental development, and debilitating mental self-harm that I'm only now starting to process. Now, I share this not to make this story about me, but to give some context from lived experience that with everything I have survived, I know how abusers work. I know the nuances of grooming when I see it. I see it throughout this story, and make no mistake, while the stories of these victims thankfully didn't escalate to a physical level the way that mine did, the trauma of any type of grooming can feel just as overwhelming to a developing mind. Period. If any of you have lived through grooming, I want you to remember one single thing. It is not your fault. I know trying to navigate the feelings you have can be confusing and scary and make you feel stupid or like no one sees you, but I promise you, I see you. You did nothing wrong. It is not your fault. The fault will forever be the burden of your abuser. You do not have to carry this any longer, and you can find healing because that's what you deserve. You are valid, you are worthy, you are brave, and you are stronger than anyone who tried to steal your worth from you. Please trust me when I say you will get through this. I know you feel lost in the darkness and alone and struggle to see an end to the pain, but the very fact that you're here, that you have survived, is proof that you are stronger than you ever realized, and you will get through this, period. I believe in you, and it's time you do too. Now, with all of that in mind, I think it's important to segue into a thought that, in my opinion, paints every single interaction Colleen Ballinger has had with her fans in the clearest of brushstrokes. I'm talking about something called narcissistic grooming, which adds another layer to this story. And for this, I want to give a shout out to Manya Wakefield, who published an article on Medium titled 5 Tactics Narcissists Use to Groom Their Targets that embody, almost to a scary degree, what Adam went through, and I will highlight a few. Now, sidebar, of course, in the discussion of narcissism, because I think it's always important to make this distinction, that is not a word to just be thrown around casually as someone you don't like. And I am talking about people who exhibit negative traits of narcissism. If someone has been diagnosed with narcissistic personality disorder, that does not mean that they are going to do these types of terrible things, okay? That doesn't make them a bad person. That's important to note. Right now, we're going to talk about the negative side of things. Now, first, I want to define a term for something Adam clearly experienced: love bombing. According to health.com, love bombing is a type of emotional abuse where someone uses grand gestures to manipulate another person. They may bomb you with gifts, compliments, and affection, but these actions are not done out of kindness. Instead, love bombing is used to make a friend, partner, or loved one dependent on them so they can control the relationship. We see this in everything from the access to Colleen's life to confiding in him about her divorce and praising the thin part parts of his body and access to her Twitter, the promise of a big day in Dublin, to the times that Adam got to act in her stage show. All of this was in return for Adam doing something for Colleen under the guise of alleged friendship. So now to the list. First up is mirroring. Manya writes, during the love bombing phase in the early part of the narcissistic abuse cycle, the abuser quietly mimics the traits and behavior of the target. They claim to share all of the same interests and ideologies. Narcissists basically impersonate the target by mirroring them. The narcissist's goal is to manipulate the target into identifying and developing an affinity with them. We see this with a lot of Colleen's direct interactions with Adam and the inappropriate texts she sent him in the Weenies chat. Adam, a minor, is texting about something juvenile, like messages about a dildo shop, and Colleen responds accordingly, directly acknowledging whatever Adam is saying and feeding into it, continuing the grooming to normalize him talking like that. Number 2 on the list, data mining. Quote, during the grooming phase of the relationship, the narcissist will feign an intense interest in the target and ask seemingly endless series of questions. The questions start off as casual and gradually shift into deeper personal inquiries. In many of the screenshots shared here, Colleen doesn't directly ask Adam many personal questions, but she does ask a lot of questions about her ex, Josh. Colleen quite literally uses Adam to mine for data on her own ex-husband. Let's skip to number 4, the false self. Once the narcissist has acquired sufficient data from the target, they create a false self that is the embodiment of the target's fantasy partner. The narcissist plays the role of the target's soulmate. They are the target's dream come true. In Adam's case, the grooming doesn't have SA as the end goal, and it doesn't have to. Grooming can be sexual, romantic, financial, or for criminal purposes. The key to grooming is a power dynamic within the relationship. Age, gender, physical strength, economic status, or another factor. Now, this is where we see the false self fully apply in Adam's case, because she's presenting herself as an approachable friend while very clearly using Adam for more allegedly nefarious purposes.
Whenever we would have inappropriate conversations, or whenever, even in the moment, I would be like, ooh, like, you know, I would just kind of look at it like, oh, she's like my cool friend. You know what I mean? I knew in the moment she was closer in age to my mother, but I was like, oh, she's like my cool friend. Like, and the not having boundaries was kind of like an exciting thing of like, oh, she can talk to me about anything and I can talk to her about anything. And I mean, that's just wildly inappropriate.
Which leads to the narcissistic grooming trait most obviously used in Colleen's interactions with him. Number 5, future faking. Quote, future faking is another grooming tactic in the narcissist's arsenal. They echo the target's goals and pretend they want all the same things in life as the target. The biggest red flag of all in the early stages of a relationship with a narcissist is they're too good to be true. The narcissists may glitter, but they are not gold. Colleen promises a future for Adam where he gets to work for his hero. She promised a fun trip to Dublin for them to hang out, a future of a very one-sided friendship that Adam could not have seen given his age.
I completely idolized these people and loved them in a way that I can't even explain very well. I was just over the moon about them.
Did y'all watch the iilluminaughtii documentary that I did a few weeks ago? There is a section in there where it talked about how following that story in real time was overwhelming because there was seemingly no bottom to the storm of sheer decay in Blair Zahn's past. This story is even worse because I don't think anybody was anticipating not only the volume of allegations against Colleen Ballinger, but the entire Ballinger brand and family. Now, this is the part of the story where time stops existing and I have to break each of these next few parts down by specific controversies. And we'll start with one that if you only really follow mainstream media reports on Colleen Ballinger is probably the one you've heard about and more than likely heard about incorrectly. I'm talking about Becky.
You know, when people come forward with their trauma, we should never immediately shame them. We should always try to listen to them and understand where they're coming from.
I would like to start this segment off with a very quick you to TMZ for their shamelessly irresponsible coverage of this. Statistically speaking, it's incredibly likely that at least like one of you said, oh shit, Swoop did a video about the teen fart controversy, wonder why, and clicked on my doc and had your expectations obliterated. All because of TMZ's flippant coverage on something much more severe than it framed the situation as. Apparently TMZ couldn't do the bare minimum of not only research, but professional and personal decency for someone who was underage before hitting send. And I'm not even being petty, I am being real. The f is wrong with you, TMZ? Anyways, this is the story of a girl named Becky who has summarized her story both on TikTok and Twitter, but I wanted to check in and see how she was doing and got an interview with her over video clips. Now, it's important for me to mention, Becky is the type of person who believes that cats are operating on a wavelength beyond human comprehension, and honestly, yes, Becky, yes, say, okay, I agree, which means that Becky is good people, okay? Great people, in fact.
Hi, my name is Becky. I'm 21 years old. I first discovered Miranda Sings when I was about 12 years old, when she was collaborating with some of my other favorite YouTubers such as Joey Graceffa and Shane Dawson. I watched Miranda on and off throughout middle school, and I would say I became more of a fan of Colleen when I was about 14. I really liked how Colleen would connect with her fans on a more personal level because it made watching the YouTube videos, feel more real and more personal and more fun to watch. I flew across the country twice to see Colleen and her family at VidCon, and what drew me to them was just the feeling that they liked me. Being in the Twitter fandom meant that you would occasionally interact with Colleen or Rachel or any of the Ballingers, so I felt so connected to them almost personally that I wanted to go to far places to see them. I completely idolized these people and loved them in a way that I can't even explain very well. I was just over the moon about them. And thinking about that now kind of makes me sad for my younger self, I think, that I was so in love with this family that didn't really know me and didn't really care about me and really just wanted to profit off of me.
Now, Becky first wrote about her experience in a Twitter thread on June 6, 2023, saying the following, quote, "When I got called up on stage at one show and did the yoga challenge with her, there's no excuse for her not stopping it once she realized I was wearing a short romper and had to spread my legs to the point that you could see the spandex under them while thousands of people watched. I joked about it when it first happened because I didn't want people thinking I was ungrateful for getting to go on stage, but I had nightmares from the day it happened. Her face looking down at me while my clothes were falling down is still ingrained in my head. The humiliation from that still gets to me sometimes. I felt exposed in front of an audience that held family, friends, and classmates. When I left the show to walk to our car, men stared at me and my body in ways they weren't looking at me before. I've struggled with talking about this for so long because I don't really know what to classify it as, but I know it wasn't okay. I was a minor and was literally put on display, and intentional or not, I fulfilled some random men's sexual fantasies. For so long, I felt like I couldn't say anything because I volunteered to go on stage, but I simply forgot what I was wearing when I did." This thread is kind of all over the place, and I'm literally shaking as I write this. This is something I never thought I would talk about on here, but everyone else sharing their stories has encouraged me. Again, I don't really know how to talk about this, but as a woman who has been SA'd in the past, this whole experience gave me that same sickening, disgusting feeling that you want to purge from inside out. It breaks my heart that Colleen's hold over all of us was so strong that I felt I couldn't talk about this for so long. At the end of the day, I just wish someone had stepped in. Security, Corey, anyone. It's taken me years to accept that what happened wasn't okay, but I'm old enough now to understand it wasn't my fault. I was a minor and Colleen did not protect me or my safety, and that's that. Some powerful words. Later on, June 9th, she posted the clip of her experience to Twitter. Now, Becky's story received even more attention when she explained the story again in a viral TikTok, which explained quite clearly that Becky was only 16 when this happened. The TikTok now has over 1 million likes and like over 10 million views. I stopped counting, which led to her story being shared in Newsweek, Passion Fruit, Rolling Stone, Time Magazine, and yes, TMZ. But instead of sharing what I think about all of this, I wanted to do something a little different. So I reached out to Becky, and I'll let her words to me speak for her.
After I made the TikTok video about my experience on stage with Colleen, I got a lot of hateful comments that were blaming me and, you know, saying you dressed inappropriately on purpose. You could have gotten off stage at any moment. And those comments were extremely hurtful. It took me about 2 years to fully come to terms with what happened on stage and to feel violated by someone that I trusted so much. So to see so many comments, you know, kind of bringing back those questioning thoughts that I had at first has been really hard for me. It's really hard in general to unpack your trauma and then come forward with it and then have people question your trauma and then you kind of unravel the trauma again and go through the whole cycle. You know, when people come forward with their trauma, we should never immediately shame them. We should always try to listen to them. And, you know, if you're leaving those hurtful comments, you're clearly not doing that. And I think that's just something that you need to reevaluate and work on with yourself.
Becky, I just want to say you're incredibly brave, not just for coming forward and sharing part of your story about the truly horrifying experience you had on stage at the hands of Colleen, but for your words on trauma and acceptance. I think it's important for people to realize that you did not have to share your story, but you chose to, and that is so, so powerful. What happened to you was wrong, period. It was not your fault. Not at all. Colleen fostered an environment where young people were encouraged to wear certain clothing to get rewarded on stage with their idol. It was by design, by the adults, and it was wrong. And for what happened to you, it doesn't matter what you were wearing. It doesn't matter if you forgot or not. That's not your fault. You did not ask to be put in that vulnerable and terribly exposing position. Colleen put you there and she didn't protect you, and that's on her and her team, not you. She was the adult, you were not. It was her choice, and with the full force of her powerful position and the cheering crowd and the spotlight on you, coercing you to do as you were told, which, let's be real, every other teen would have done the same, whether they want to hide behind their keyboards and pretend they wouldn't or not. She abused her power and influence and took advantage of you while it was being filmed for the world to see. It is not your fault. It never was. And I wish you nothing but healing and strength. And you are exuding so much strength and grace. Thank you for sharing.
And then I decided to join the Twitter fandom to mostly support Colleen, but I also met other people who also supported Colleen, which was really nice.
Somebody else that I spoke to was Alex, who came forward on Twitter and Reddit around the same time as Becky to discuss their experience in the Colleen fandom as well. Alex has told this story a few times, spread across many different social medias, but I managed to ask them about their story over voice memos. Now, their initial tweets share this picture as well as the following message. I guess I met her 5 years ago. Corey behind the camera told me to bend down because Colleen had put her arms around my neck and I was too big, and before the show, Corey quote tweeted me being excited, mocking me, and got the whole fandom to do the same. Now, for reference, Colleen is 5 foot 6 inches and I'm 6 foot 1. What you don't see here is I was suffering badly from an autoimmune disease and on steroids, etc., having been formally diagnosed with 3 autoimmune diseases last year that I've been suffering with for 10 years. This woman is the reason I've had body issues for years. I idolized her and knew she didn't approve of my body. She condoned Corey saying this as if he was right and didn't say a word other than nodding at him. I never thought I'd have it in me to share this. The fact that I brushed it off and felt grateful for this experience because she was my idol. I've been struggling with body images and eating ever since this stuff resurfaced. I'm not doing great mentally, but I love y'all so much. For context, as many of you know, for me to speak on this, I also live with chronic illness and a spine and shoulder injury and fibromyalgia, which is why Alex's story really spoke to me personally, and I wanted to share it. But there's a specific part of Alex's story that feels like it could get lost in the sea of other more easily understandable allegations being made that made me want to hear more from them, so that's why I reached out.
Hi, I'm Alex. I'm 23 years old, and my pronouns are they, them. Just for some context here, when I was 12 years old, I developed a lot of illness. It was undiagnosed at the time. I was in and out of hospital a lot. I missed a lot of school. And that was kind of when I started watching YouTubers such as Colleen. And at the time, I would have been the age of 12 when I first started watching Colleen. And then I decided to join the Twitter fandom to mostly support Colleen, but I also met other people who also supported Colleen, which was really nice.
A lot of Alex's story involves their fandom growing as they went in and out of the hospital, expressing that Colleen basically kept their head above water. Eventually, Alex became comfortable enough to reach out to Colleen and members of her fandom over Twitter, even feeling comfortable enough to confide their personal feelings and problems in their life to Colleen. This relationship with Colleen, again, not parasocial anymore, it's a relationship, got them added to another private group chat with Colleen, Corey, and other fans, though not the Weenies group chat. So much of the story sounds very similar to stories we've already heard from Adam, and we'll hear soon from others. You know, a group chat with Colleen Ballinger and a bunch of minors where she talks about things that are too damn personal to talk about to them. But this was the reality for Alex, and Alex didn't question it, because why would they? In their eyes, this was their friend, Colleen, not the weird 30-year-old sharing too much once again about her divorce. And this is what set the stage for Alex to head to the Colleen Ballinger show that night with the hopes of getting to meet their idol, because of course, why wouldn't something like that make you feel better, especially given what they were going through health-wise?
So I went along by myself to the meet and greet. The Q&A was, you know, just standard, and then we all lined up to meet Colleen. She was on stage, and Corey was behind a camera taking the pictures, and then Eric was a few feet away from Colleen, like behind her, so you could meet him afterwards. So I went up to Colleen and I told her how much she meant to me, and she was smiling and being nice and things like, just, you know, kind of acknowledging what I was saying. And then it came to the pictures, and, you know, Corey didn't seem too bothered. Like, I think he just seemed a bit, you know, on edge at that time. We did the first pose, which was holding hands, and then we went to do like the classic hug pose, and Corey said to me, like, very abruptly and rudely, you know, you're too big for the hug pose, Colleen can't get her arms around you. And at that time it was very shocking to hear, because I was already struggling with my weight and, you know, my body image, and I was 17 years old, and, you know, in that moment I looked over to Colleen hoping that, you know, she would say something to Corey about this, but she didn't. So instead of reassurance from Colleen, I got her looking at Corey and nodding to him approvingly, as if this was like the most normal thing in the world to tell a 17-year-old. And I remember just feeling so embarrassed, because there was a huge queue of people lined up behind me for the meet and greet, and I just felt awful.
Look, the truth is, this is clear evidence of how completely shitty Corey DeSoto is as a person if he's sitting there and weight-shaming one of Colleen's fans. But what's more disturbing is that not only did Corey get away with it, Colleen didn't seem to care at all about how blatantly Corey disrespected somebody that, again, Alex thought was their friend. Alex confided in Colleen. Colleen would write them back. That sounds like a friendship if you ignore the power dynamic. So why would Colleen treat a friend this way? And it gets even worse from there.
You know, I tried to brush it off at the time because she was my idol, and, you know, I kind of came to the realization that my idol thinks that I'm too fat, and, you know, she kind of condoned that at the time. So it came like up to the time near when the show was starting, so the meet and greets happened 3 hours prior to the show. So as I was in line to get my seat for the show, I was tweeting Colleen and, you know, saying how excited I was, like, for the show and everything, because I was just trying to ignore what happened. And then Corey quote tweeted my tweet to Colleen and called me a squeent, which at the time Colleen had called her fans squeents. That kind of meant basically a fan who's, you know, a diehard fan who's too annoying and just, you know, too into the whole thing. So Corey quote tweeted, and then a lot of people in the fan base would bully me for that tweet, because there was this kind of thing in the fan base where you do anything for Corey or Colleen, so they just bullied me a lot. And at the time I was 17, but it also continued on for months afterwards, where, you know, he would quote tweet my tweets to Colleen, like mocking me, and it was pretty well known that he didn't like me. But the way the fan base at the time worked was everyone idolized Colleen and Corey so much that they'd do anything for them. So if they were mocking someone, everyone would join in. And, you know, I guess in a way it was Corey and Colleen abusing the power and control that they had as influencers, and knowing that we were all, you know, we were kids and minors, and, you know, they took advantage of that, really.
So as a result of Alex being upset, they were met with bullying directly led by Corey DeSoto and ignored by Colleen, which is awful. This actually put Alex down a fairly troubling road that ended up putting them in therapy. I can't stress enough how serious these types of things can impact people.
Gaslit myself into thinking that, you know, it was a normal thing for Corey to say that to me and Colleen to condone it, and that, like, you know, I should work on losing weight, and that my body, you know, I was too fat and ugly, and it led to a lot of body image issues. It was definitely something that, you know, after it happened, I thought about it a lot, but I was too scared to tell anyone, because I felt like I should be grateful for meeting my idol and meeting a YouTuber when so many people couldn't meet her and things like that. So it was something that I kept to myself for, you know, almost a year. And when I did tell my family about the experience, they kind of, you know, said to me, you know, this isn't normal, and that was awful for you to go through. I have since addressed body issues and body image issues in therapy, and, you know, I realized that this has affected me more than I thought it did. That my idol thinks that I'm fat, and, you know, I think what damaged.
Now, this was all further exacerbated by none other than Colleen's own content, which, unlike the Miranda Sings content, is a much more, you know, conversational vlog style channel. On this channel, Colleen would share details about her life, her health, her pregnancy, and so on. But what rubbed Alex the wrong way was this.
And, you know, I think what damaged me even more was seeing her videos afterwards, where she would say things like, I'm so fat and I'm so ugly and I look horrible, and she would sort of be body checking sometimes in some of her videos, and then after she'd say all that, she'd say, but all bodies are beautiful, and, you know, everyone should love their body, and it just felt like a slap in the face to me after what I went through.
Looking back on the entire situation now as a 23-year-old, Alex is well aware of where their trauma came from and just how wildly inappropriate the entire Colleen situation was.
I was 16 or 17 when she would do that, and yeah, looking back on it, it definitely does not feel appropriate. If you asked me years ago if I thought I had a friendship with Colleen, I would say yes. If you ask me now, I would say it was definitely a perceived friendship on my end, and I felt like she, you know, abused the power that she had as, you know, an influencer, and knowing that she had a lot of fans who were minors and very impressionable.
And Alex, I just want to say again, you are such a beautiful human deserving of nothing but love, support, and healing. Thank you so much for sharing part of your story with us. It truly broke my heart listening to your words, but I believe that your words will help so many of us fighting chronic illness to feel more seen. You are so immensely brave, so valuable in this world, and I hope that through all of this, you're able to see how brave you are, and I wish you healing on your journey.
Bethany is like desperate to have anyone care about her. And so she's constantly making up these ailments to try to get someone to care about her, and still no one does.
It's on that note that I feel I should shift gears into somebody else whose story came to the forefront by the name of Ella. If you couldn't tell by now, the entire Colleen Ballinger core is rotten, and it extends in every single direction. Allegedly. And some of this even extends to her deal with Netflix. But before we even get to that, I need to tell you about Ella. On June 14th, in light of Colleen still not making a public statement, Johnny Silvestri, who we'll be hearing from a little bit later, tweeted this: "Okay, Colleen, you want to play? Let's play. Look what I found. It's you bashing one of your biggest fans at the time this was sent. We used to make fun of them for editing fake freckles on their face. Remember? Then you made fun of them for being trans/gender fluid." And in the screenshots are partially censored text showing Johnny and Colleen mocking someone. Now, Johnny follows this up by saying, "My response was mean AF and I shouldn't have said it. I don't even know how to approach this. Part of me feels like this fan should know, but that's also the worst thing anyone can hear. I want to be mindful, but I can't not share this right now." And shortly afterwards, that fan figured out that the person Johnny was talking about was them. That fan is Ella, who virtually every Merfanda says was one of the most loyal fans Colleen had, who was completely heartbroken to find out Colleen, who was openly sweet to her face, said such cruel things about her. And it got worse. Quote, "I just genuinely want you to know this is 100% hand on my heart. Things she said to my face on bus tour. I remember it clear as day. We were sitting in front of the hotel waiting for an Uber. She told me she believed you were faking your illness to get closer to her. And she was in the works of writing a movie about a girl who fakes illness to get close to celebrities and then gets exposed as the villain. She was writing a defamatory screenplay about you with her brother Chris. I genuinely do not want to hurt you with this information. She is diabolical. I am so sorry, Ella." Now, we've since confirmed that the person who sent Ella this text was Johnny, who during my interview that I'm sharing with him later said this to me.
She portrays such a loving and nurturing relationship with this girl in the public eye, and then she's literally sitting in this Uber with me, with the whole crew. Everybody was in that car on the way to dinner in Maine, and she's just going on about how her and her brother Chris are writing this whole plotline scenario for a movie. And it's gross. I saw now Chris said that he has not taken a part of that. He didn't say anything about it not being true or real. He just said, nope, count me out of that narrative, which I thought was kind of comical.
Now, I have some thoughts about this, especially since Chris Ballinger has, in fact, directly denied this allegation. And maybe it's true. He didn't write that script. You know what he did write with Colleen, though? That show, Haters Back Off, for Netflix. There is a character on that show, Miranda's mom, where there's a running joke that she has fake undiagnosed fibromyalgia. Now, a huge shout out to Bridget Parker on Twitter, who introduced me to this particularly up part of the story and getting me through a few specific things that happen on the show with this character.
Ashley, you know what, can you get the heavy items for me? Because my fibromyalgia. I have undiagnosed fibromyalgia. It's such a burden. All right, so how do I look?
Pitiful?
Perfect.
Oh God, why won't these dead fish swim? We're running out of time, Mom. Just push a button, please.
Okay.
She can't even clap for me anymore because we're fibromyalgia.
Bridget also directed me to this particular tweet where, in my opinion, it becomes clear that Chris and Colleen did, in fact, write that screenplay and turned it into a plot on Haters Back Off.
I know people who make up ailments for themselves that aren't real. So fibromyalgia is a real thing, and it's like debilitating for people, and it's like really awful for people who have it. It's really horrible. And
but for Bethany, it's
Bethany is like desperate to have anyone care about her. And so she's constantly making up these ailments to try to get someone to care about her, and still no one does. And
I'm gonna say this and then I'm gonna move on. Colleen, I'm speaking directly to you now. From me to you, adult to adult. Colleen, off with that. Full stop. As someone who lives with fibromyalgia and I was diagnosed when I was a child, I am telling you, you can all the way off with that, because now it's personal to me. And what you've done, the way you've exploited fibromyalgia and chronic illness is absolutely reprehensible. I am disgusted. After sitting through clip after clip of your sad little show, watching your characters, the ones you created, make an absolute mockery of the very real, very debilitating and sinister plague that is fibromyalgia, is perhaps one of the most vile things I've ever seen, and you should forever be ashamed of yourself, but I think you're too bloated with how much you gas yourself up to have any room for shame. It is widely documented medically that fibromyalgia is a neurological disease and a disorder of the central nervous system that has no cure. Imagine living with something with no cure. Do you think it's funny that people living with fibromyalgia are 4 to 5 times more likely to also battle depression and anxiety? That we should turn on Netflix and watch scene after scene of you trolling what we live through, intentionally blurring the line with your mother character so that people no longer could tell if the mom is faking or actually has fibromyalgia? Because I don't know, it just all kind of looks like it's faking no matter what, right? Are we a joke to you? Would you write the same jokes around cancer? How about Parkinson's? Would that tickle your fancy? Exactly how insignificant does our suffering have to be to you to satiate your need to dehumanize our diseases? We all know that there are heavy stigmas around fibromyalgia and invisible illness, even though the medical facts remain this shit is very real. Is that why you targeted us? Did you think no one would notice you preying upon people living with a neurological disease so that you could make some money? Well, I guess you didn't think that someone with fibromyalgia and a platform was going to enter the chat, but bitch, here I am. Welcome to my face and welcome to the repercussions of your shitty actions. I'm done. I'll let Alex finish this section.
Seeing that Colleen, based the Miranda character off people with fibromyalgia and people with chronic illness, it just disgusts me, and I feel so sick thinking about it, because I've, struggled the last 10 years with 3 autoimmune diseases and a lot of other chronic illnesses. And to see someone that I idolized in those years when I was struggling so much with these illnesses, make fun of them and make fun of other people and make them out like they're nothing, it really angers me, because, no one would choose to have these illnesses. We would all love to be out living our lives and, just doing things that we love, but unfortunately our bodies don't always let us do that. For her to think that, fans would fake being ill just to talk to Colleen and get close to her is the most disgusting thing ever, really. Like, I can't imagine faking an illness just to get close to someone, when I could be out living my own life and being with my friends and not missing out on my life and watching it pass me by for so long. I just think it's absolutely disgusting and appalling behaviour on Colleen's part. If anyone out there with chronic illnesses or body image issues does hear this, I just want you to know that you're so strong, and so much stronger than you'll ever believe you are. You're beautiful and you're worthy, and you're here for a reason, and you're so loved and cared about, and I hope you really know that, and know that what other people tell you does not define who you are, and it doesn't define your worth. Just make sure you're taking care of yourself, because you matter so much in this world.
Really trusting relationships with all of our parents, like first name basis. It was very tight knit. It's not just some little parasocial thing.
After Adam shared more of his story, someone else came forward with incredibly damning evidence against Colleen. His name is Johnny Silvestri. Since the beginning of June, Johnny has posted hundreds of times about what he alleges he endured courtesy of not only Colleen, but various members of her crew crew and family. Today, Johnny is 27 years old, but his introduction to the Colleen world came back in 2011 when he was only 15, where according to the interview I got with him,
like, I was a high school dropout kid, bullied out of school, didn't have friends, and I sought solace, found it in a online community of people my age. And my parents were thrilled when we went to New York and they saw a bunch of kids and not just some creeps on the internet, but they totally trusted Colleen and Josh. They built relationships with them as well. A lot of the parents did. They built really, really trusting relationships with all of our parents. It started off as me interacting with fan accounts with my real Twitter account at the time, but then I switched over to a fan account to kind of escape that real world, which is where Skype calls started happening. Then I finally got to go to a Miranda Sings show, 2012. That's when I finally met these people.
By 2018, Johnny had gotten so close to the fandom that Colleen actually hired Johnny to be a tour assistant and driver for her summer tour when he was 22. He told the website Passion Fruit that he was paid somewhere between $120, $140 a day for 12 or more hours of daily work, and that he, quote, did the dirty work that no one else wanted to, and always felt Colleen was holding my job over my head. If I fumbled on one thing, that was gonna be it for me. It was like walking on eggshells. Now, there's actually a lot more to Johnny's story, including allegations of grooming that he's since levied against Josh Evans, Colleen's ex-husband, who is to date the only person named in any of these allegations who has responded. Now, in order to do that story justice, though, I will be including that in part 2 in full. But the best way I can explain Johnny's situation in short, ultimately, is that he ended up in a situation where he was neglected by Colleen Ballinger and straight up abused by Corey DeSoto, allegedly.
It's a lot because on tour, the extent of it was Corey. He would patronize, bully me, belittle me on a daily basis to the point where I would be in tears. I was having panic attacks, anxiety attacks, and Colleen acts like she's all mindful of this stuff because she deals with it herself, but she doesn't care if it's not affecting her. She just doesn't want to be affected by it. So she let this stuff happen. She watched it happen, and that's what, I mean, she was complicit. She was absolutely complicit. That entire family was.
Like, I honestly think of all of you, like, as my best friends. Like, I don't have friends. Oh, and God. I'm a loner and I'm a loser. Like, my only friend is Colleen, and, like...
The truth is, this is as good a time as any to talk about the many allegations against Corey DeSoto, Colleen's grown-ass best friend, since a lot of what Johnny has to say about Corey is very much in line with what other fans have also alleged. For example, Corey had his own creepy-sounding group chat called Corey's Clit, with a K, classy, also with a K, and there's some interesting things that have leaked from that group, which was also full of minors, like the Weenies group. They're nothing if not consistent. Like, for example, the voice memo he sent to the group about how the group chat are his only friends.
Hey everyone, it's Corey. I just wanted to record a voice memo because I have, like, a lot to say. But first of all, I just want to say that, like, I love all of you. Like, you honestly means so much to me.
Oh my God.
You have no idea. I know that it sounds weird because I'm a full-grown adult and some of you are younger.
Oh my God.
And blah, blah, blah.
Oh my God.
Like, I honestly think of all of you, like, as my best friends. Like, I don't have friends. It's so comforting to, like, go online and talk to you guys and feel, like, loved and cared about, because I love and care about all of you.
Or a message from when information started leaking from that group and Corey threatened to block a fan on Twitter. Or this image where he talks about how he's tired of editing Colleen's rants. Or this Twitter thread from Johnny that says, Corey aggressively backed me into a corner in Omaha and said, look at how many followers you have versus me. I'm your superior. I was 22. Dude was like 30 plus at the time. One morning he barged into our hotel room and screamed at me until I cried. He told me the night before he wanted to sleep on the bus. The morning after, he tried to make it seem like I took the hotel key without him knowing and and locked him out. Or the time that Corey intimidated Johnny into not even being able to use the restroom anymore on tour. And whenever Johnny tried to stand up to Corey, quote, "When I finally stood up to Corey, he called for an emergency meeting because he wanted me out. I was gaslit into apologizing so I could keep my job and reputation. They all just sat there and watched him torture me. They knew it was happening." And hey, it wasn't just Johnny too. For example, Soph on Twitter tweeted, "The reason I had a panic attack is because Corey yelled and humiliated me and my niece for sharing a phone to take pics. Keep in mind she's disabled and a child, and he ended up only taking 2 pics. Corey ruined every meet and greet I had." Or how about this time when Corey physically yanked an underage fan from crossing a line just to show Colleen a tattoo? Or that time Corey gave an underage fan inappropriate relationship tips and tricks. I mean, it just goes effing on and on and on with Corey DeSoto, to the point that instead of addressing the allegations, Corey just straight up deleted the evidence, allegedly, and then he deleted his Twitter altogether. Oh, and fun little sidebar, but Colleen's sister Rachel once tweeted this in 2019. Just gonna drop that in sans commentary, but we're all looking at you too, girl.
We all have free will. Just because you're a victim doesn't mean you get a free pass to treat other people like garbage.
Now, I want to take a quick moment here to acknowledge that since I started working on this doc, Rolling Stone has released an article about the Colleen Ballinger story that centers the victims in the story in a way that many mainstream outlets haven't. Everybody I've talked to is featured in the article, and everybody, according to their Twitter feeds, seems to feel quite validated about larger outlets hearing them out, even despite a few valid issues that some of them have. Now, there is one other thing I need to slightly criticize the Rolling Stone article for, though. And given the sheer amount of allegations levied against Colleen Ballinger, her friends, and her family, I'm fully going to give Rolling Stone the benefit of the doubt that they might have just, simply missed this in their initial reporting. But within the article, it says, and I quote, "Ballinger's allegations aren't criminal. This is false. And here's why." One of the more shocking allegations that Johnny makes on his Twitter is that starting on the 2018 bus tour and through 2020, he alleges that Colleen would send nude photos of somebody to the rest of the crew and friends in the group chats to make fun of their body. This included Johnny, who thankfully was of age at the time, but also Adam, who was only 15 when he allegedly received those photos. Oh, and her friend that she was making fun of was Trisha Paytas. Whew! Anyway, yeah, this isn't about Trisha, though it is worth noting that as of 2023, Colleen and Trisha have a podcast together, which may or may not have just been canceled. But allegedly, Colleen straight up signed up for Trisha's OnlyFans type platform called Trishyland and would regularly pull Trisha's nude photos just to make fun of her. Like, it's one thing to be such a hateful effing asshat that you would do that to someone who should be your friend, but it's actually a straight up crime to do that with Adam, according to the Department of Justice. Let me say that again. According to the Department of Justice, it is a federal United States law that obscene material being distributed to minors is strictly prohibited, and quote, "Any transfer or attempt to transfer such material to a minor under the age of 16, including over the internet, is punishable under federal law." Yes. Adam McIntyre was 15. This entire part of the story is actually wild to me. If any part of this whole story is grounds for Colleen Ballinger to see the inside of a jail cell, it would be because she was acting petty about Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas. Trisha Paytas. Like, oh my okay. Yeah, I can't. What I was really surprised by with all of the stories Johnny had posted on Twitter is he still managed to tell me 2 stories that caught me completely off guard because I hadn't heard them anywhere else. First, remember how I told you about how Colleen wasn't exactly forthcoming about her inspiration for Miranda Sings?
She has said online to my face that she bases her character traits of Miranda off of her disabled brother, and when he is having his quote-unquote, her words, temper tantrums, she essentially sits back, watches them, gets a kick out of it, takes mental note to create her portrayal of Miranda. I mean, it's just absolutely disturbing.
And then there's this.
And I'll never forget this. I haven't gone on the record with this at all, and to give you context, I've always struggled with my weight. I've always been underweight and struggled with body issues, but I'll never forget when Colleen's friend joined us on tour, and Colleen said in the basement, in the dressing room, her friend is sleeping on the bus, and she was commenting about her weight and how she was worried that she was maybe anorexic. And she then looked at me and said, "But I love thin. I want to be as thin as I can be, like almost dangerously thin. Like, I know that's so fucked up to say, but I just think thin is so beautiful." And I about fell over. I was so horrified.
This is horrifying and has echoes of Adam's stories about Colleen body checking him and Alex's stories about Colleen doing that in the group chats. Colleen has this really apparently bizarre obsession with thinness that extends across her relationships and even some of her content. Thank you, Johnny, for sharing part of your story with me. Most of his interview is going into part 2 of this docu-series, and again, I'll see you in part 2.
I grabbed my dog for no reason, just grabbed the dog and pinched its skin and dug my nails into it. The dog yelps, turns around to protect itself, and bites me in the face.
The list of allegations about Colleen Ballinger and her ecosphere goes on and on because, as we've discovered in recent weeks, Colleen Ballinger might allegedly be one of the most prolific groomers to ever grace the YouTube platform. I mean, I don't know. Now, you might be wondering what's been said about Trent Ballinger since I haven't told you the story in this video. Well, friends, that's a whole other shite storm that I will be expanding upon in part 2, where I could tell it in more detail with an interview I'm conducting with a lad named Oliver. Oliver tweeted about his experiences with Trent Ballinger messaging him inappropriately when he was only 13 years old, who messaged Oliver about S constantly, as well as pressuring Oliver to talk about his own orientation, all while calling him Peapod. You can read Oliver's horrifying story linked below, but we'll be going into fuller detail about Trent in part 2. It is shocking. But what about all of the stories that don't have as many details? Like how Humbug Mommy was SULized on stage at the age of 16. What about Colleen's nephew, who was a toddler when Colleen would do things like stick a microphone in her sister's mouth while he watched? Or what about the many kids who come out during the Miranda Sings stage show and have to do things like pretend to go on a date with her? Or stick their hands down her pants for a snack? I'm not kidding. That is part of the show. Imagine if she was a man doing that. I haven't even shown a lot of the other grossest shit available on Colleen's channels because I have to censor like everything. This is someone who literally performs for kids, who has a show that's classified on Netflix as a kids show, and yet that person is also a person who sent this to the Weenies group chat.
I swear I'm not high.
And that person also made thumbnails like these. And this, a screenshot of her asking Adam for a picture of his behind. This doesn't even take into account all the times that she's been documented abusing animals. That's a thing. Or making fun of dead animals, or joking about ending her dog.
So I grabbed my dog for no reason, just grabbed the dog and pinched its skin and dug my nails into it. The dog yelps, turns around to protect itself, and bites me in the face. And I got stitches, I went to the hospital, and they were like, "What happened?" And I was like, "The dog just bit me." And then they had to put the dog to sleep because the dog was dangerous to be around.
So before I hit my conclusion, I'll leave you with these 2 thoughts outright. Number 1, if all of this is true, and there's a receipt for damn near everything, Colleen Ballinger might in fact be the most prolific groomer hiding in plain sight. Allegedly. Imagine if everything was the same, but Colleen was a man. How would you feel? I can't be petty or cute about this. It's actually f***ing sick. Whew, child, I need a whole lot of kitties on my screen to cleanse my palate after this, and then I will get to my final thoughts. The sweet little billing department babies. Oh man, they make me so relaxed. They are so cute. Remember, you can grab your official Petty University apparel linked below and join the community, and get excited because I will also be dropping a brand new collection, hopefully in part 2 of this series, if we can get everything, all of the details, the bows tied. A couple of Twitter shout outs from my last doc, which is a fascinating and equally petty deep dive into the shady world of the fashion brand Shein. If you haven't seen it, it is eye-opening and it is linked below. First shout out goes to Chris, who said, I love that she discussed the history of sweatshops and how hard it can be to be both ethical while balancing personal issues like financial status and affordability of plus size. Capitalism is a hydra that requires better laws and overhead to be slain. Couldn't agree with you more. And second shout out goes to Jen, who says the Illuminaughtii and Shein docs were both amazingly well done. I love you. You know when Swoop is digging into something, it's really bad. I look forward to the inevitable Colleen Swoop doc. If you want to be my next Twitter shout out, make sure to follow me on Twitter at SpankyB, linked below, and retweet this video right here. Also, hit me up on Instagram, okay? Linked in the description. That's where I post most often, respond to a lot of DMs, and your girl's got a goal. I'm trying to get to 100,000 followers there. We could do it, okay? I have faith. We could do it. Be sure to tap my link below and check out SeatGeek and get $20 off any tickets at SeatGeek with promo code SWOOP, and treat yourself, honey. You deserve it. As we conclude part 1 of this docu-series, the allegations keep coming. More old clips are found, and despite all of the evidence, the victims are being punished by supposed Colleen fans for speaking up, from people insulting their experiences, to people engaging in like whataboutism to downplay the severity, to straight up physical threats and attacks. As a result of this harassment, Adam has reached out to the Brighton and Derry police departments, who made him go on the record with who Colleen Ballinger is and what his relationship is to her. So to put that bluntly, the police are now involved in some capacity, and I would imagine the people who were harassing him didn't want the police involved, but it's because of them that now they are. But this story is so much bigger now than Adam McIntyre and Colleen Ballinger, something Adam himself mentioned in his interview.
It's more important than what I'm talking about, because it goes to show that this was happening to everyone, and everyone was sitting on these stories back in 2020, but they didn't feel, obviously it wasn't the right time for them to speak up about it. But to me, you know, Oliver, Becky, Johnny, to me at this stage, that is what I have been finding comfort in highlighting, because it's their time, it's their story.
This isn't Adam versus Colleen. This is the story of somebody who, if even a fraction of these allegations are true, is deeply troubling. The moment the Miranda Sings character became the idol of millions of kids around the world, there should have been a restructuring of the entire ethos behind the character. Colleen knows this. She's admitted this, and yet she changed nothing. Why? Instead, in the wake of Adam's accusations against her in 2020, Adam alleges that there was a shift made to the Colleen Ballinger stage show that glorifies, even to this day, how you can profit off of being canceled. She's even selling brand new canceled merch just last night. This is how she chooses to respond to allegations of grooming by multiple fans she kept close. Miranda Sings and Colleen Ballinger are completely inseparable ideologically. In case you don't believe me, Colleen admitted that herself to Stephen Kohberger.
Do you ever mean what she's saying?
Yes, all the time. There's a lot of times where in character I'll say something so cruel, or you know, something I'm thinking but I would never actually say as myself, and it's very liberating to be able to say things that I'm thinking.
Can I give you some advice?
Yes.
Never tell people when those moments are.
We have to remember two things when talking about this. Number one, everyone I interviewed was an actual child when the alleged victimizations took place. Adam was 13 when Colleen sent him the undergarments. Becky was 16 when she was exposed on stage. Johnny was 15 when he met Josh Evans. Oliver was 13 when he was befriended by Trent.
If she's talking to me about sex, or she's asking me about things, or she's whatever, we've already talked about like an abusive marriage. We've already talked about divorce. Everything from that moment on felt less.
And it wasn't just the kids who have had to deal with this trauma being brought back up to the forefront. It's the parents as well.
We created private Twitter accounts so that our parents would not know about it. But Colleen the Weenies and I had private Twitter accounts that had like 13 followers. It was private, and I would log in and out of the account, and that was the account Colleen would talk to us on, because she knew that it was an account that all of the children in that group chat's parents had no connection to. My mom is, thanks to Cody, discovering all of the honest of me and Colleen for the first time, and is, you know, like, I can't even imagine what she's thinking. I sent my mom the longest apology, you know, a couple nights ago, being like, I'm so sorry you're seeing how I acted on the internet and stuff. And she was like, no, you were acting this way because this is what Colleen promoted and this was getting the attention. And that was the first real honest conversation me and my mom have had about that specific thing. My mom is the person that I said I want Colleen and Corey to apologize privately and publicly to before they apologize to me.
Which leads me to the other thing we have to remember. Literally everyone here was a fan. A massive fan of Colleen Ballinger, and she allegedly took advantage of them. She was their idol, imagine. In their interviews, I could see and hear a glimmer of joy in each of them as they talked about something they cared so deeply about when they were younger. That glimmer is something Colleen Ballinger has taken away from these brave people, and that's not even on allegedly. Colleen is Miranda Sings. Whatever Miranda has done to hurt people, Colleen has done herself. None of us are immune to developing parasocial relationships, so I want to make it very clear this isn't an attack on the Colleen fandom. I get it. If you're a fan who's watching this is me sharing the stories of people who were once sitting exactly where you are, who used to watch every piece of Colleen Ballinger content they could and feeling as if they needed to defend someone they didn't even really truly know. Someone that they now believe does not actually care about your well-being and your safety at all. I think the victims who shared their stories just don't want you to potentially be harmed in the same way that they were. They're speaking up for the fandom. I hope that tells you something. Now, Colleen is still touring as we speak with her live stage show, and as of recording, none of her shows have been canceled yet. And so I asked Adam what, if anything, she could do to make this right.
If Colleen and Corey do a private apology to both me privately, my mother privately, my mother publicly, me publicly, I'll never talk about the situation again. I don't think I'm gonna get that. So I don't know what happens next. I literally do not know what happens next.
If you did get an apology from her, do you, and maybe this is an impossible question to answer, but do you think that you would accept it?
If there was acknowledgement in it.
If I could say anything to Colleen right now, it would just be that I hope all of this backlash is just an ounce of the pain that I felt after years and years of trusting you and loving you and supporting you financially and just constant support from me, only for you to completely turn around and violate me on stage. I just hope you can feel some of that pain. Colleen, I don't know how you sleep at night knowing that you have hurt so many people. It blows my mind. I think you lack empathy completely. The last thing that I want to say to Colleen is, if it was one of your kids that you were putting through these situations, how would you feel?
And then I asked Adam if he could give me one word to describe why he thought she groomed her fans. And his response was very telling. Tell me, why do you think Colleen groomed her fans?
Power. It's for power.
Power. Simple as that. And then I asked him the following. One word that you could use to sum up this entire experience for you, what would that be?
Abusive.
Power and abusive. Says it all right there, doesn't it? And towards the end of the interview, I asked Adam about forgiveness, and his answer surprised me. Do you think at some point, and if you can even answer this, do you think that one day you might forgive Colleen?
I was expecting that I was already going to have done that because I thought that this last 2 weeks were going to have played out a completely different way. She has shows in the next few days. If she goes on these shows without having acknowledged anything, then there's nothing she can do in my eyes anymore. And that's like a really harsh thing because it kind of leaves me with like, okay, I'm never going to get any closure in this. If she actively embarks on a new tour, it means that she sees no problem with what she's done to me and all these other people, and she's actively going out there and performing for those kids, that she's probably going to do the same thing too. I know that she doesn't care, and there's nothing she can do that I could forgive her for.
And 3 days later, Colleen started her new tour, potentially closing that window of forgiveness forever. And a few more days after my interview with Adam, Colleen Ballinger finally released a response video, which was literally just a trash song with a ukulele.
All aboard the toxic gossip train. You're chugging down the tracks of misinformation, the toxic gossip train. You got a one-way ticket to manipulation station.
Basically saying that there's nothing to address and that it's everyone else's fault but hers. It is a complete victim shaming and blaming, some of the worst that I have seen in a very long time. I wanted to initially cover it in part 1 of this documentary, but I think it deserves an entire own piece, which I will be doing, and I will be dissecting and breaking down point by point with evidence, with statements from the victims, and so that we continue to have a full comprehensive look with actual context instead of all of the shaming, blaming, and avoidance that video is. It is, yeah. I am not going to hold back in that one. So that one will be coming up after that. So that will be the next upload after this one.
I should have known better, and I didn't, and I'm extremely embarrassed by that. I'm really hopeful that I can be used as proof that people can change and grow and learn from their mistakes. If you continue to speak up when you see someone doing something or saying something wrong, it can make a difference.
People have spoken up, Colleen. They're raising awareness. They're making a difference. Why haven't you? You could stop the harassment of these young people if you wanted to. Why haven't you? Now, in case anyone thinks I'm being unfair to Colleen Ballinger, I did email Colleen asking for comment. As of today, Colleen Ballinger has not responded to my request for comment. So with that, I want to leave this with some final words from my interview with Adam. What's next for you? Whether it involves this or outside of this even, because you are so much more than this story and this experience. You're a whole human who doesn't just live on the internet. But what's next for you?
I just kind of want like a moment of like not in it. It's been like, I felt like I'm on like a treadmill that's like running and I'm trying to keep up with it. But like actually what's next is to kind of just like take a moment offline to process what happened offline or online, and then move forward in a way offline. I feel like you could probably understand that as well as like as a content creator, how they can get so muffled. So my personal goal moving forward is to create a divide that's healthy.
I think that's a great thing to look forward to. And I know that I, along with thousands upon thousands of other people, are excited to see what it is that you do next, where you move next, and whatever that is. And we just want you to be happy and safe.
Thank you so much again for caring, and thank you for being so sweet publicly and privately. And I also, whether you include this or not, I want your audience to know that as well, about how involved you have been privately as much as publicly. I can speak for me and them that we appreciate what you do on YouTube and your coverage of it, and just like how you're taking the time to form some sort of safe space as well as just doing an interview. So I really appreciate that, and I also want your audience to know that, whether you include this or not. And just thank you for your time as well.
You are more than welcome, and again, I'll reiterate, you don't have to thank me. It's what you deserve. It's what all of you deserve, and I want more than anything for all of you to feel supported throughout all of this. You are so cherished and such a special part of so many people's lives and your families, and you know, the things that you choose to share online with people are really powerful. And I really do believe that you have helped so many people that you will just never know about. I do have one more question, and this is a very, very important question, very deep and profound. I need to know the story about your Garfield tattoo.
Oh my goodness, wait, oh, this one?
Yes, I love that.
I love Garfield. Like, I have like a little ugly Garfield here, and I have like an even bigger one. Wait, can I literally go grab it?
Yes, please, please. The world needs to know.
My favorite thing in the entire world.
Oh my gosh, and he's so big, I love it.
So, Yeah, and I mean, I love it. Garfield just reminds me of whenever I would like watch TV like really late at night with my dad. It was like the only thing that was on. So it kind of like, that was how it started. And now it's just like, I will be up at night watching Garfield and it reminds me of home. So that's where it all stemmed from.
Oh,
you scared me with that question. I didn't know where that was going.
My apologies.
Well, thank you for ending it like that.
Thank you, Adam, and thank you everyone who shared your stories. And I will see all of you in part 2. And as always, stay ready, stay petty, class dismissed. Swoop!